Wait, did I hit live? Actually, don't know. Oh yeah, I did. Cause she wanted to just freaking pop the stream window. I see. Okay, sorry. I'm realizing now. You know what? Let's take our medication together. My ADHD medication. That should take midday at 9 p.m. My C-search was already fucked. Who cares? So yeah, I didn't stream Thursday like I was promised to because my arm was like flaring up really bad. For those who don't know, since January I've been dealing with since December, almost been a year. I've been dealing with what I thought was ulnar nerve extension. Entrapment, it's not extension. Where my nerve is like, well, the muscles around my nerve, elbows swell up and then it causes tingling in my hands and it like flares up real bad. But I'm realizing now that I might actually have thoracic outlet syndrome, which has to do with the thoracic plexus on my left shoulder, which a plexus is just like a bundle of nerves. It's sort of like the nerves that come off of the spinal cord bundle into the plexus. Then they kind of branch out from there, go to another junction, branch out from there. So it'll be branch from spinal to shoulder to elbow to wrist to your fingers. That's why so you can have more specificity as you go down the ladder. But so it turns out it's not a problem with the elbow, it's a problem with my shoulder, which is worse technically. But I've been doing some different physical therapy. A lot of physical therapy actually overlaps. But I did some new physical therapy today and yesterday, and I feel like a lot better. But I'm definitely noticing my left arm is definitely weaker. Though if I warm up with the PT, it gets stronger. So that's good, but I definitely have to tell my doctor that. But I had a flare up last week. That's why I didn't stream on Thursday. And then the weekend I had to make some birthday parties because I've been antisocial and maintain friendship. So I had to it's kind of loud. You know, the song's pretty good. Alpine Racer 3, Position 2. Never heard of it. But there's something about the era of, I know this is completely off topic, what we're talking about, but something about the era of PlayStation 2 games where both racing, snowboarding, they just had like these jams, man. I just don't feel like, I feel like at least a lot of the games I play have gotten into more orchestral, like more classic symphony, with maybe some processing. It's kind of like the era of gaming soundtracks now for AAA. Yeah, I mean, this is Bandai Namco. Oh, sorry, this is Namco. I don't know if they're Bandai yet in PlayStation 2 era. Kind of a Square Enix thing. Yeah. As you may hear, the audio is different because I'm constantly tweaking the audio. Everyone's saying the audio should be at different levels. I'm just gonna run it until it sounds nice. On the mic, I got rid of the slight outputs loss. Oh, banger. Actually, I'm hoping Billy doesn't cause a copyright, but we'll see. Actually, we'll see. Part of Olympus Company, people love. No, it has to be fine, right? Yeah, I keep forgetting to start just chatting and then go to whatever. But, yeah, I've been pretty... I definitely needed to go touch grass, because I'm just cooped up in my room all day with extremely bad posture, which affects my arm, which I have to work on now, which will be fun. When your arm is so uncomfortable that you mess up your posture to accommodate it, but messing up your posture makes your arm more rigid over time, so you just have to sort of deal with it. It's annoying. In fact, I forgot to look up. We can do this right now. How long does thoracic outlet syndrome present? Until it gets better. Okay, so it might be just a lifelong thing I have to work with. Fun! But I'm at the age. I think everyone I know is getting some sort of long-term issue. And somehow the mild weakness in the left arm seems way better than some of the cases that I've seen. Let's see. Yeah, someone now has to take anti-seizure medication forever. No one has to take anticoagulants forever. Not to mention like the mental, like people with depression and stuff taking their pills. Relatively okay, since I can technically deal with this. I have like actual agency in the severity of my condition. Sorry if I pause, I'm adjusting my posture. Or taking a sip. Oh yeah, and today was election day, which was, or primary day. Fun, doing my civic duty. So I guess I say fun, but I think the election this year, at least the primary race this year, has been kind of messy because I think both the Democratic and Republican parties are kind of trying to find an identity amongst modern voters. Which makes sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense for Republicans because they were technically trying to do a party reform prior to the first Trump administration, but then that happened. And we're rolling with that, but I don't think the populist, like, populist presidents don't tend to leave a dynasty. So, you know, they're going to have to figure something out. And this becomes the best time for Democrats to try to reevaluate their own values, especially since they seem to just be content with losing any momentum. But I think that's, you know, APAC and shit like that. So I'm hoping a lot of progressives get in during this, but it's a midterm, so mainly retirees and unemployed people will hop in on actually voting. Young people don't tend to vote at this time, even though it's changing, so I'm hoping for some good results. Some of my candidates were polling really well, but it's polling, you know, that doesn't actually mean anything. What has I been up to since the last stream? Where even is it? It's... Yo, where is it? Which on the Holy Night? Not that long. Okay, so I played Deadlock. Deadlock had a new rank update, with which I learned I barely make ranked with my best character, my ease to use character, and then the character I can get carried with, which is not a good lineup. So I do have to grind standard, but I'm technically should be here. Actually, according to the group chat that just happened, maybe today was a good time that I did choose the top one, because apparently the matches were awful. So, do have to grind standard to get the ring. I don't know if ranked feels better or not. I don't know. I'll have to hit up Cozy, see what he thinks. I'm playing a bunch of Mahjong. I feel like I'm improving. I'm getting more conscious on hiding winning hands. I'm definitely aware of... I still don't know when to con, but I do understand, like, hey, I should chi and pawn when I'm in the lead, because I'll just continue to be in the lead. It doesn't matter if my hand is worth less. The faster I get into Tempai, the better. Especially since if they're not baking any big hands, I should just try to sprint to Tempai if I have a, even like a small lead. As long as it's not like minuscule, seems good. And then through that, I've been able to focus on bigger hands more. Trying to discard honor tiles. I realize that's a one of those bell curves where it's like noobs don't discard honor tiles, but then the majority of people do discard honor tiles, and then the top players don't discard honor tiles because those are big points and there's the potential to make a good hand out of it. Still can't intentionally big a build hand, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like you can't, especially in 4-player. It's like I can't really control what people are dropping, you know. Tried the Gun to Boost playtest for like one day, and I was just practicing movement, so I didn't actually get to play at all. I heard some people kind of dooming about that because it's a lot less content complete than it originally was, but it's prettier, I guess. That doesn't matter to like the core audience. I don't know. Tried Ridge Riots, a mech playtest thing, like a mech roguelike. Much like most mech games, it just doesn't feel... I feel like a lot of mech indie games just don't feel feature complete at all. Or it feels like very bare bones, and they're like the dystopian industrial like blame aspect, but they mistake the architect, like, oh, it's easy to make. Like, it's just a pillar. It's just this. And it kind of used, I feel like kind of used it as a crutch to push it out. I don't know. And it's nothing like, it's not like an original Armor Core where it's like, oh, you are maintaining, what song is it? Oh, it's Melty Blood. Oh, I completely lost my train of thought. Where you're doing a resource management thing. Though I did see a video on a game jam that was purely mech based that seems to have some really good projects that kind of reinvigorated my aspect, which is super interesting to me. I tried the playtest for what is this kind? Guns and Dragons playtest. I know Mac was talking about it. I don't think he tried it yet. If you want to try, I don't see the vision. It kind of has a little bit of everything I dislike about roguelikes. Where it's like enemy variety is kind of bad. Most of them don't pose a threat. Then every once in a while you get one enemy that is an extreme threat and the other things are just kind of just there. Then it has a base building aspect as your meta progression thing, which I'm just like, in a rogue, that's not what I want in a roguelike. Like I love Terraria. Like I love me base building aspect. I love everything about it. But that's not what I want to do in a roguelike. This is in my video. This must be old as fuck. 13 years ago. This might get copyrighted. This might be copyrighted bad. Lisa the First, which is like a. I never played the Lisa game, so I don't know why I picked it up, but I did pick it up. Did a Slay Spire 2 run to my boy Harrison. Easy. I haven't played since they added the new boss and reworked some of the cards, but we kind of just deleted Ascension 10 again. Easy game. Other than that, I've just been grinding the mobile slop. And then Hunt Showdown. Mac finally put me on that stuff. They've been doing a big drop campaign. It's kind of fun, especially when they're trying to figure out your rank, put you in the bottom where people don't know how to shoot their gun. Parentheses, I didn't know how to aim ADS, so I've just been hip firing until I figured out day 2 how to ADS. And then, I'm a 3-star now, which is standard, but honestly thought it would be a lot worse. Fun game though. Extraction shooters kind of give me anxiety, but Hunt Showdown is like kind of not an extraction shooter. You extract money, technically, and then the money is used for literally everything. I don't know. It's been up to yeah, so that's that. Touching grass. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, disassociated. Let's just get into it. I am very interested to see how the game continues after the events on the monster, the Bandersnatch, the Snark. I keep want to say Bandersnatch, which is a completely different thing. Not now, no more heroes. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like a dog, which on Holy Night, every time I open it, I keep forgetting that it doesn't full screen on my end. It's so weird. Anyways, like a dog. I don't know how long this chapter is. The thing I was using to kind of guide my hand for this whole thing is kind of gone. Also, I'm realizing when my tabs is completely gone. Okay, yeah. Here we go. Like a dog. We survived the night. Sojiro is unconscious. In a glass, the nightmare glass bottle. Surely he fares better than Rainbow Dash or whoever the fuck was in the fucking jar. Even though Alice specifically told her not to bring the culprit to the house. Though I suppose it doesn't matter because he. No, he doesn't strike me as a guy who would investigate after being told. Yo, don't. Anyways, let's get going. I'm kind of getting mildly distracted by Big Walk Day. Technically, yeah, today dating this by saying that it's Big Walk Day. So seeing some big walkers on my side stuff. He was still in a deep sleep. If all seemed ablaze in a mad, fiery red. Unbearable, idle thoughts. Incessant obscenities. Okay, calm down now. Melancholy sights and gloomy, bittersweet talk. Fickle wilderness born of human interaction. Namely, the voice of forsaken coexistence. This, however, was the scenery of a world far removed from that. If there were those praying this was paradise, then there were likely all those lamenting it as the underworld. In a decade, or perhaps longer, this would all change. But for now, the autumn leaves remained yet untrampled by human souls. It was scenery he knew well. Life in the mountains was humble and modest. There was no conspicuous buildings among the wilderness he called home. They gathered and stockpiled only what they needed to survive, without pillaging the land. Serpentine trails could be seen woven through the fields, and the stone steps leading to the summit were obscured by the forest, only visible once upon them. The mountain inhabitants probably intended it that way. There was no sign of mankind's exploitation among the mountain landscape. He suddenly remembered that this was the season he liked the most. Or rather, it suited him the most. There was much to be done to prepare for the winter, but whenever he had a free moment, he would make his way toward the mountain top. Gazing idly at the setting sun while breathing deep, the crisp autumn air was probably the second favorite of his daily joys. I'm gonna boost the volume a little bit. It relaxed him, the cold but comforting wind at dusk, and the way the sunset dyed the peaks a vibrant crimson. Not 2 months had passed since coming down from the mountains, and already it pained him that the memories had begun to fade. Someone once told him that memories fade every day, so the best you one do is make as many new ones as possible. So the best the best ones you make. So it's best that you make as many new ones as possible. I think is what they were trying to go with that. Recollections grew hazy. A new place to live meant the beginning of a new life. He wasn't sure if he was reluctant to let go of the scenery he cherished for so long, or if he had merely been spoiled by it. Despite his new home in a city surrounded by tall buildings, he felt guilty for wanting those memories alone to remain clear in his mind. Either way, he had to make the best of a fresh start. What kind of man thinks more about where he came from than where he's going? He contemplated.
そうか。
Oh, this is a dream.
これ
Oh, that's him saying.
夢だ。
I do feel about the memories though. I know sometimes you can lose memory, especially through trauma. But actually, I have very little recollections of high school, except for very big events. And my friends talk about it like they can envision it so clearly. But I can barely recall people's names. It's a little concerning, but I think it might be a result of social. It's weird to say it, but maybe social trauma post high school. But yeah, it is kind of disconcerting to try to stop himself from indulging in uncharacteristic sentimentality. It wouldn't be a dream if it was easy to understand. The moment he realized he was dreaming, angular shadows began to rise from the autumn colors. They were concrete buildings, previously unknown and yet familiar to him at the same time. The Twin Towers. Wait a minute. Wait. Soldier Hero, you have to get online. You have to get them out of there. It's the 90s. It's the 80s. It's the 90s. You gotta save him. You can save him, Soldier Hero, please. You can stop our fucking disaster in the Middle East, please. You could be a hero right here, right now. You could do it, Soldier, I believe. Oh my god. Wait, am I not online? Wait, no, I am online. This is how his current life was wasting away his memories. Was washing away his memories, excuse me. Struggle as he might, there was no stopping the degradation of human memory or impressions. It was merely a fact of life. By nature, humans lived in the present, over the past. Eventually, even his most cherished memories would be swallowed up by the buildings. It was neither cruel nor heartless. Kingdom Hearts? If they were sure to disappear, and for now, he would content himself with dreaming about the memories he could clearly recall. Whether in the mountains or in the city, the days flew by. Yesterday's scenery was not the same as today's. Okay, so surprise Alka and such. She had given him no time to grieve. Just the nostalgia was beautiful, but that made it fleeting. No, Miyagi Aldo, Aozaki. I can't talk my way past you. A faint dizziness made him close his eyes. Without sight, the mountain's landscape vanished, but in its place, a familiar voice could be heard. It was a booming voice that seemed to shake not only the mountainside he stood upon, but the entire mountain as well. And of course, Ako Aozaki reappeared, towering in the distance. He must have been tired, he thought, diagnosing himself while trying to make out what she was saying. Fearing the vertigo would return if he reopened his eyes, he decided to keep them closed. It sounded like she was arguing with someone, though the tone all he could make out. It wasn't violent, but certainly aggressive. Maybe she was picking a fight with another mountain across the way. What a simpleton. What the fucking... He wouldn't put it past her. After all, she was a troublemaker who blew up the moon. That she did do that, that's fair. He couldn't quite grasp the conversation. Though somehow, vaguely, he had the sense that his human rights were being largely ignored. It was deeply unsettling, even for a dream. After several minutes, it seemed that the high-impact argument ended in Alko's victory. Somehow. Then suddenly, the boisterous voice faded. Praying everything would be back to normal, he opened his eyes. There's something about the cinematography of this. I'm kind of getting why Type Moon has the reputation it does. Even though I'm very, obviously, as I said, I'm very new to visual novel games. I think it's something about the cinematography of it all really gets me. He took a deep, slow breath. The scenery was a far cry from the nostalgic dreamscape he had just left, albeit not unpleasant either. Without a doubt, it was the amusement park. To him, his was his freshest memory. He recalled the House of Mirrors and that Aoko Aozaki destroyed. This park was a flawless replica of reality, but he was the only one there. Without having to worry about anyone chasing him, he sat down on the wreckage of the Kitsy's rides and looked up at the moon that should have been shot down. Yeah, I guess no one really explained to him that it's not really a moon that she shot. The winter moon shone white like a jewel. It was layered over the figure of the girl who tried to kill him. If a mage was a witch, then she definitely fit the build. I don't mind being killed. Such an absurd thing to say, but it spilled out of him so naturally.
いや、
Well,
でも
maybe. Yeah, demo. That had nothing to do with witches or magecraft. There was an echo in the gaps of his heart. If she had not spoken those words, then he would not have responded as he did. In that moment, what did Aokazaki said to him? As he tried to remember, his deep slumber drew to an end. And with it, his chance to find the answers he wished he could find. Then, Sojiro woke up in an unfamiliar room, gasping. Not because the plush mattress he was on was softer than his apartment's cheap futon, or because everything from the carpet to the wallpaper looked expensive. Bewildered, he tried to catch his breath. She was the cause of his surprise. The moment Sojiro's eyes snapped open, there she was, the girl dressed in black, sitting at his bedside. The silence was deafening. Still supine on the bed, Sojiro gazed at her. His impulse was to sit up, but he refrained, thinking it might be rude to be it staring at the person sitting next to him. She was just sitting there, on a chair, dressed in black, modest clothes. Still, she projected an air that was anything but plain. Her monochrome outfit evoked indescribable elegance. Like a costume handmade just for her, from the fittest fabrics. It was enough to inspire poetic sentiments, even in Sojiro. Sorry, I wanted to adjust the volume of things, but the girl continued to sit completely motionless. Without realizing it, Sojiro had stopped breathing. Genuine astonishment had him captivated. Such beauty. It was the first time he had ever thought to use such a simple, plain expression to describe another human being. She was the foidal? I'd never seen that word before, actually. In a perfect bloom. The daffodil? Daffodil? Is that actually how you say Is that actually how you spell daffodil? I actually have no... I never seen that spelled before, I'm realizing. She was the daffodil, in perfect bloom. Or the ideal female form seen only in his dreams. It really is Japan in the fucking 80s. What are you talking about? This quality was something to be cherished and admired in her. It was different from Aokazaki's blindingly radiant vitality. After all, the flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. And there's no way this girl would be allowed such a happy ending. Her life was a solitary fable of someone who left the world in exactly the same way they entered it. With her humanity stolen at birth, hers was an existence not of this world. The more beautiful something was, the more tragic its fate. Growing up in the mountains, this was not something Sojiro was taught, but something he learned from experience.
眠ってるみたいだ。
It looks like she's sleeping. Sojiro turned his head, as though he was being lured in. He knew it was rude to stare, but he couldn't fight his instincts. Then... Huh? This time, his heart actually skipped a beat. She was not asleep at all. Her expressionless, Expressionless, she was merely watching over him while he recovered.
Oh.
Sojiro froze, unable to turn his head away or think of something clever to say. It was like staring into her eyes turned him to stone. Perhaps because of her delicate features, she looked somewhat younger than him. On the other hand, her tranquil expression made him feel like she was older. Jet black hair, just to her shoulders. Her large eyes were set like onyx stones, matching her hair. This is the most eloquent I think this mountain man has talked this entire time. And if you're telling me there's going to be a weird love triangle here between the very simple mountain man obsessing over the maybe hyper intelligent asexual being romantic with her also asexual roommate who is somehow romantically tsunderied into liking a mountain man. I don't know what the fuck's going on. She tried to kill you, Sojiro. Wake up. Devoid of emotion, her gaze stays fixed on Sojiro. Though, I guess that's not a turn-off for me either. Even after their eyes met, she did not turn away. He wanted to speak, but could not find the words. It was not unlike a frog being stared down by a snake. Nevertheless, he just could not bring himself to say something. Additionally, no matter how carefree Sojiro might have been, he was painfully aware that this girl was as powerful as Aoko. Less talkative, to be sure, but still powerful. Objectively, the scene was not unlike that of someone nursing a bedridden stranger. He had no idea what she might have been thinking about, but it seemed to him that this harsh silence might last forever. All he could say for sure was that the quiet did not appear to bother her in the slightest. It was like some bizarre form of punishment. This is... The game's being so quiet today. I don't know why. If this is some kind of test from Aozaki, it sure is elaborate. He fought, keeping his eyes on the girl. He felt like the moment he turned his head or blinked, she might stab him in the chest with a hidden blade. That's fair. And not because his imagination was running away with him. In the stifling silence, it was only natural that Sojiro would think back on what had happened in the amusement park, and it made him uneasy. But stronger than any anxiety was his fascination with the girl. Hormones, I guess. Her slender frame and milky white skin. I didn't realize it wasn't until I took my biology class back in undergrad that I realized that milky as a complimentary term for skin came from the original European smallpox outbreak, and the fact that milkmaids, women who milked dairy cows, would have clear skin because they were exposed to cowpox, a brand of smallpox that would, or a derivative, not a derivative, I guess smallpox is a derivative, a type of pox that only affects cows. But you would build a mild sense of immunity, so you would be particularly blemish-free during an epidemic. And that's why the term milkies became a complimentary term. Where milky is not supposed to mean white necessarily, though it was Europe, so yeah, it meant clear. unscarred, even. Her slender frame and milky white skin, the chill of her guarded stare, and the warmth of her lingering femininity. Whatever that means, brother. It was the mixture of those two latter qualities that was the most magical.
Oh.
He stared at her for so long, he began to get the feeling that they had met somewhere before, sometime before the conflict at Kitsy Land. He could not quite put his finger on it. He really is so simple. But he was sure he had seen her previously.
その今更だけど
I don't know if this is the right time to ask this, but his voice shattered the frozen silence in the room. He almost felt sorry for making noise as he spoke out there. I've been there. But he could not very well just sit and stare at each other forever. Though, he might have been the only one thinking that they were staring, and perhaps she thought that they were glaring at each other.
ここはどこで君は誰だかわかるかな
Where am I? And who might you be? She narrowed her eyes slightly, though apparently not out of offense. There was no response. Just as she was thinking it would have been better to keep quiet, she quietly raised her head.
これあなたのでしょ
This is yours, is it not? Her voice was cold but melodic. A white piece of cloth was wrapped in her fingers. There was no need to tell him what it was. He was conscious enough to recognize his own possession. Sergio sat speechless as she tossed it to him. Picking it up, he wrapped it around his neck.
青子はそれを知っているの
Oh wait, the bandaging on his body. Does Akko know about that? Know about what? He looked away in response to her blunt question. Distracted by something unrelated, she called Akko Ozaki by her given name, which led him to believe that the mountain Akko had argued with in his dream was actually the girl beside him.
さあどうだろ
I'm not sure. As sincerely as he could, he answered without presumption. There are things that should be known and things that need not be. There are known knowns and known unknowns. If you know, you know what that speech is from. There are also things that should be told and other things that must not be. Sojo was not exactly sure what that she was referring to.
う
However,
その方がいいとは思うよ
but maybe it's better that way. He smiled slightly at her question, perhaps impressed by his response. The overwhelming pressure in the room dissipated noticeably, or maybe she had been more nervous than he was the entire time. Projecting the image that his room was her domain and that is a tad too strongly. Projecting the image that his room was her domain a tad too strongly. Ah, I see. The tension faded. Jotaro tried to sit up and prop his arms beneath him. Now that they were talking, it seemed awkward to say lying down. However, his body felt strange as he tried to move, and surprised him how difficult it was to sit up. It took everything he had to raise his upper body to a sitting position.
あれ洋服のまんまだ
It still wrapped up the bandaging. Huh, I'm still in my clothes. As he threw the covers back, he tilted his head quizzically.
申し訳ないこんないい布団なのにこれじゃ不釣り合いだというよりもったいない
I'm sorry. This is such a good bed, too. I shouldn't be my clothes under the sheets. What a waste of a good bed. She stared at him, not expecting him to complain about not wearing pajamas while sleeping. Somehow it appeared that he had done something to surprise her.
なんでだ何もしてないぞ俺
But why? I didn't do anything. Pouting a bit at the unwarranted curiosity, he turned to face her. Although he was still mostly laying down, it was at least a more dignified position.
それでさっきの続きだけど
So, any chance you'll tell me? Indeed. He needed to find out where he was and who she was before anything else, and when his shift starts, because he's definitely late for work. Actually, the more he thought about what happened at the amusement park, the more he got the sinking feeling in his stomach. Perhaps finally getting through to her, she calmly moved her arm from behind her back when, once again, the silently locked eyes. Thump, thump, thump. There was a startling sound of rapidly approaching footsteps. They both had a pretty good idea of who it was.
アリス、約束。
Okay, now this volume is speaking. Okay, let's go back to that. Alice, you promised, just as expected. Aoko Azaki burst through the door with a thunderous roar. She entered wearing her school uniform, her long hair flowing behind her. Her breathing was heavy, and her forehead was wrinkled by a scowl, granting her a demonic appearance.
アリス。
Alice. Alice. This girl named Alice scowled slightly in response. She may have even let a sigh of disappointment slip out.
早かったわね、青子。
Aoko. Home early, I see. Her calm voice was the polar opposite of Aoko's. Needless to say, her voice dripped with brazen coldness.
そりゃあんたの性格は知り抜いてるからね。
That's because I know you all too well.
こういう時の短絡思考はこの2年で経験済みよ。お行儀がいいようで面倒になったらあっさり投げ捨てるのがあんたでしょ。
They really are like siblings. Over the past 2 years, I've come to expect how quickly you jump to conclusions. You might act mild-mannered. As soon as things don't go your way, the veil's dropped. Shout out mild-mannered Paige.
いやね、人聞きの悪い。
Oh dear, you make it sound so scandalous. Effortlessly, she brushed aside Aoko's jab. In doing so, Shurdro had the distinct impression that she no longer even realized he was in the room.
はっ、それで今日まで何度煮え湯を飲まされたことか。
Huh? Let the record show I've lost count of how many times you've gone back on your word.
青子に譲ると言ったけど、よく考えると面倒だから私の方で処理しておいたわ。なんて言い訳、もう聞き飽きたっつーの。
I'm tired of hearing the same old story after the fact. I know I said we'd leave it to you, but after careful consideration, I decided to take care of it myself.
短期なのはそっちの自由だけど、それなら後の始末は相方に任せるのが最低限の筋ってもんじゃないの？
I may have come to terms with your short fuse, but the least you can do in return is to trust your partner to set things right. No?
そうね。そうでなければ共闘している意味がないわ。
You're right. We won't be partners otherwise.
まあ、今後の方針を勝手に決めた人のセリフじゃないとは思うけど。
Though you're hardly one to talk after unilaterally deciding our plan from here on out.
それもきっちり型をつけたでしょ？
We've been over this already.
いい？勝ったのは私たちよ。逃げ切れば見逃してあげるって言ったのは誰？言動には責任を持ちなさい、アリス。
We won, okay? Besides, who's the one that said we should let him live if he escaped? Yet again, you've gone back on your word, Alice.
それとも何？もしかして一番気に食わないのはそのあたりの理由なわけ？
Sorry, Nani. I like the way she said that. Oh, don't tell me. Next you'll be saying, that's the reason you can't let sleeping dogs lie. Alice frowned slightly and fell silent. Her housemates seemed to have struck a nerve that Alice herself did not know was there.
とにかく
Anyway,
こいつの扱いはちゃんと目が覚めて本人の意思でどうするか決めるまで保留ってことで合意したでしょ？
we agreed to decide what to do with him when he wakes up after hearing him out, right?
人の留守中に出し抜くのはやめてよね。
So stop trying to flip the script every time my back's turned.
それ、青子、学校はどうしたの？まだ正午になったばかりなのに。
Speaking of which, aren't you supposed to be at school? It's noon already.
アリスのとこが今日で終わりって思い出して家庭の事情ってことで早退したのよ。期末試験前だってのにほんと何やってんのか。
I remembered you only have school's end of term ceremony today, so I told him I had to leave early for personal reasons. This is so warped. I have finals coming up, for goodness sake. Alko grumbled, more to herself than anyone else in the room. Then she locked eyes with Alice. Or more accurately, they glared daggers at each other. The room had become tense once again, and it felt like a fight could break out at any moment. With no way to escape, Sojiro had no choice but to sit and watch. But then, the electric silence that seemed like it would last forever suddenly broke out a minute later. Apparently, this sort of clash was an everyday occurrence.
私は今に言っているから。彼に事情を説明してあげて。
I'll be in the drawing room. Explain the circumstances to him. Alice stood up from the chair and made for the door. Watching her go, Sojiro cocked his head. In her hand, what could only be described as
果物ナイフ
a fruit knife. He had no other words to describe the tool that she was clutching.
アリス、あえて聞くけど、その手に持ってるの何？
Alice, I hate to ask, but what's in your hand? Alko asked Alice as she walked past.
探検ね。どう見ても。
A dagger. What else? Alice answered expressionlessly before briskly walking out of the room.
おお。
Sojiro thought it best not to think too deeply about the scene he had just witnessed. Yeah. At any rate, the girl in black had withdrawn, and along with her the feeling of tension, leaving a bedridden Sojiro alone, with an Alko still dressed for school. From Sojiro's perspective, this was a perfect chance to get answers to this ever-growing list of questions.
わけのわからないことだらけだ、青崎。
My head spinning, Aozaki.
でしょうね。順序立てて説明してあげるから、ちょっと黙ってて。
I bet. I'll spend everything in order, so just shut up and listen.
顔の麻痺も取れてるし、呼吸も再開と。これならもう安心かな。
I see the facial paralysis is gone and your breathing has stabilized. It looks like you're through the worst of it. She nodded, satisfied as she took a seat.
どう？調子は。
How do you feel?
なんか
Sluggish. He answered meekly, dropping his shoulders. He opened and closed his left hand a few times, moving his fingers. Felt slow and awkward. It was clear that he was still in bag shape. Meanwhile, Alko was blinking, her eyes in wonder. Or was it in admiration? Between Alice and Alko, Sojiro did not know which of the girls was harder to read.
体が重いのは当然よ。
Well, you're bound to feel a bit
丸
sluggish.
2日経ってるし、寝てるだけでも体は弱ってるだろうし。
Lying in bed for 2 days straight can make anyone feel weak. I think the last time I did that, I had norovirus.
でも、もう話せるくらい回復してるとは思わなかった。あんたって見かけより頑丈にできてるのね。
I never thought you'd be well enough to speak. You're a lot tougher than you look.
ん2日って
2 days.
あれからそれだけ経ってるの。学校には欠席届出しといたから、その点は安心して。
It's been 2 days. Don't worry about school. I submitted a notice of absent. What about work?
ガンドの呪いもダンプティの呪いも、私とアリスとで解除しといたから。
In the meantime, Alice and I dispelled the Gander curse and the Dumpty poem. Sojiro nodded at the word curse, as if recalling it suddenly. It was all coming back to him now.
どうかした？そんな遠い目しちゃって。
What's wrong? You look troubled by something.
ああ、忘れてた。それで2日も寝込んでたのか。怖いもんだな、呪われるってことは。
I just forgot everything that really happened is all. Was I really asleep for 2 days? Getting cursed is pretty scary.
ほんと緊張感ないわね、あんた。ローのように眠ってたのが嘘みたいよ。
You're
下
cool
手
as
す
a
ると一
cucumber,
生あ
aren't
の
you?
まま石膏もどきだったかもしれないのに。
It's as if 2 days out on death's door hasn't changed you a bit. But you realize you're one step away from becoming a vegetable for the rest of your life? Oh, just casually a vegetable?
ちょっと待った。今すごいこと言わなかったか？
Wait a second, was it really that bad?
言ったけど聞かぬが花よ。
It was, and I guess you're proof that ignorance is bliss after all.
経緯はどうあれ後でアリスにお礼を言っときなさい。
Anyway,
私じゃ解除できなかったんだから。
what's done is done. Be sure to thank Alice later. I couldn't have lifted the curses without her help.
ひどい花もあったもんだ。
Sometimes bliss is overrated.
けどアリスっていうのはさっきの子か？遊園地で俺たちを殺そうとした？
Oh, and yeah, you said the name Alice. Was that girl Alice? Was she the one who, tried to kill us at the amusement park? Alka replied that it
彼
was.
女ずっとそこに座ってたけど、ここは彼女の部屋なのか？
She was sitting by my side for ages. Is this her room or something? Jojo scanned the room again. He was not accustomed to sleeping on anything other than a futon, and a room especially foreign to him.
うん、ここはただの客室。長いこと使ってなかったから埃だらけでしょ。
No, it's just the guest room. It hadn't been used forever, hence the dust over everything.
それよりアリスと何か話したの？あなた。
More importantly, what did you and Alice talk about?
お
Well,
いや、あれを会話というのはちょっと。
we didn't really talk so much as he brought his hand to his mouth and recalled the few words they exchanged. As Sergio said, calling it a conversation would be a gross overstatement. And yet, thinking back on it, it seemed like they had talked for hours, which brought an uncomfortable smile to his face.
とはいえ、緊張は解けたと思うよ。
But it's fine. I'm no longer worried.
青崎がやってくるのがもう少し遅かったらよかったのに。
Though it would have been nice if you came a little later, Aozaki. Akko narrowed his eyes at his innocent slip of tongue. She knew Sergio did not mean to treat her like a nuisance, but nevertheless she found it hard to take the full brunt of his words said to her face. Even worse, she sensed that she was getting used to his manner of speaking. Used to.
でもだからなのかもね。相変わらず首の皮一枚の人生を送ってるわ、あなたって。
That's why well, you do have a knack of surviving by the skin of your teeth, don't you? He tilted his head, clearly confused.
だからあんたはよっぽどアリス好みの対応をしたのよ。
I'm
まだ
saying
生きてるってそういうこと。
you did something to please Alice. That's the reason you're still alive.
ん？
I feel like I'm slipping accidentally into the twang again. No matter how hard he tried, he could not grasp that she was getting at him. He decided to change the subject to something else.
ところで、ここはどこなんだ？あの子に聞いても教えてくれなかったけど、青崎なら教えてくれるだろう。
I asked the other girl. By the way, where are we exactly? I asked the other girl, but she wouldn't tell me. You can tell me, right, Awazaki?
ここは三崎町の幽霊屋敷よ。正確には久遠寺邸と言えばいいかしらね。
You're inside Mizaki's infamous haunted house. You can call it the Kwanji Estate.
さっきの子、久遠寺アリスの持ち家で私が住んでるところでもある。あの後あなたをここまで持ってきたんだけど覚えてないでしょ？
And that girl, she's Alice Kwanji. This is her mansion, which happens to be the place I currently call home. After the other night, I brought you here. You don't remember, do you? Something about the way she said that made me feel uncomfortable.
久遠寺っていう名前は聞き覚えがあるような。そうだ、よく商店街でおじさんたちが話してた。なんでも偉いお金持ちだとかなんとか。
Kwanji, I've heard that name before. Yeah, I know. Some old guys in the shopping district were talking about it. The Kwanjis are a rich and famous family, or something.
それ、アリスの前ではご法度よ。穏便にここで暮らしたいならね。
Don't you dare say that in front of Alice. If you want to live here in peace, that is.
お？
Confused yet again, Sergio tilted his head for what seemed like the 100th time that day. and once again, he had heard something to make him feel uneasy.
青崎、君今なんて
Yeah,
言った
are you? We're about to. So he's a prisoner. He's like a Scandinavian prisoner where he can still go outside, but you know. Azaki, did you just say?
しずきくん、私ね、あからさまな嘘を言う人と同じことを何度も言わせる人と察しの悪い人には容赦しないから。
Suzuki, I have very little patience for liars, idiots, and people that make me repeat myself. I have a habit of mumbling, as you can maybe surmise by this entire playthrough, and I also have an issue with repeating myself, especially when people have the habit of processing slowly when they're unsure, but then the reflex is to ask for repeat myself. So when I refuse to repeat myself and then they actually process and hear what I say, it pisses me off to no end.
そのあたり覚えておいてね。ここで平穏に暮らしたいなら。
It's like you didn't need me to repeat myself. You just needed to think. It pisses me off. But it could all be subverted with me speaking, enunciating, and pronouncing my words more clearly. Ergo, being more eloquent in my speech, which is the purpose of this playthrough. Do your best to remember that if you want to enjoy your stay here. For best smile, Alka made her threatening proclamation. Needless to say, it caught Sojiro completely off guard.
気のせいならいいんだけど、君の言葉には俺がここに住むような響きが感じられる。
I must have misheard you, because I could have sworn you said something about me living here. He shot her an honest stare of disapproval. It was the best resistance he could muster, but it was nothing in the slightest effective against Alko's overpowering, ruthless glare.
あなた、自分の立場は分かってる？
The quicker you understand the position you're in, the better it'll be for you. You mean... He considered her words carefully. He wanted to openly express his feelings on the matter, but instead swallowed his words and shook his head. Despite his typical inability to read people's emotions, he at least seemed to understand the gravity of the situation. It appeared that he had finally realized that it was his carefree mood that typically got out on Alko's nerves.
ああ、そうだった。
He does not
あんた
realize.
に回りくどいこと言っても無駄だったのよね。
My mistake. I realize there's no beating around the bush with you.
いいわ。考える時間ぐらいあげたかったけど、時間もないし、はっきりと言ってあげる。
Fine. I wanted to give you time to think, but there's no way past. We're way past that. So I'll just get right on and say it.
いい？しずきくん。
Listen to me, Suzuki.
この度、あなたは私たちの監視下に置かれることになりました。
As a
しば
now,
らくはここで一緒に暮らしてもらいます。
you're being placed under our supervision. You'll be living here together with us for the time being.
もちろん、生殺与奪の権利はこちらにあるという条件で。
Naturally, I reserve the right to decide whether you live or die. Oh.
No.
Yeah, what? The blatant tyranny in her voice caused him to sputter. He wished that she would stop smiling in an attempt to make it seem any less outrageous.
一緒に住むって青崎とか
Live together? With you? It was not the faint expectation of living under the same roof with Alko that had him flustered. Rather, he was genuinely concerned about his own safety. Regardless of how good-natured he was, it seemed he finally come to grips with the fact that had just escaped death.
とんでもない冬眠前の熊と一緒に暖を取るようなもんだ
You can't be serious. That's like seeking warmth next to a bear before it goes into hibernation. Alko agreed, as blunt a comparison as it was.
たまには的確な比喩をするじゃない。
Once in a while, you have pretty accurate metaphors, you know.
あなたの言う通り、下手なことをしたり決まりを破ったりしたら、今度こそ息の根止めるからね。
I'm glad you figured it out. Make a wrong move or break a rule, and I'll end you. For real this time.
それと
I love
こ
her
こに住
smirk.
んでるのは私とアリスの2人だけよ。
Plus, it's just me and Alice you'd be living with.
あの子私なんかより数倍常識ないから気をつけないと死んじゃうぞ。
She has way less common sense than I do. So if you're not careful, you'll wind up dead by her hands too. Alko was 100% serious. It was her sincerity that made it all more believable.
いやいやいやいや
No, 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 no. Wait. Obviously, there was no way the victim, Sojiro, could accept these terms.
待ってくれ。俺にはちっとも青崎がわからない。
Wait a minute. You're not making any sense, Awazaki.
監視するって言うけど、なんでそんな話になってるんだ？考えられる範囲、悪いこととかしてないし、そもそも俺を見張っても得なことなんて一個もないし、青崎はいろいろ間違ってる。
You say I'm under your supervision, but why is that necessary? If you think about it, I haven't even done anything wrong. So there's no point in keeping an eye on me. This has to be a misunderstanding.
いや、それとも魔術師っていうのは
Is,
みんな青崎みたいなのか？
is it... Are all mages like you, Awazaki? Arrogant and selfish were the words that the harmless boy's gaze seemed to imply. Alko felt a headache coming on. Due to his innate, easygoing persona, Sojiro had not thought to question that Alko being a mage was out of the ordinary.
だからあんたがそういう風に誰はばかることなく私たちのことを言いふらさないかを見張ってんじゃないこの常識なし。
That's the problem, you dunce. We need to keep an eye on you so you don't go around saying things that'll blow our cover, you dunce. Alko flew out of her chair. She had been doing her best to keep her cool, but it seemed her well of patience had finally run dry. Witnessing Alko snap, Sojiro clapped his hands all together.
そうか。青崎が俺を殺そうとしたのは魔術師であることを隠さなくちゃいけないからだったっけ？
Oh, now I get it. The reason you tried to kill me was because you have to hide the fact that you're a mage.
うん。そ
Okay.
れならわかる。監視するのは青崎の秘密のことで、俺の命云々はおまけみたいなものか。
If that's the case, then I get it. You're monitoring me to protect your secret. And not taking my life is your way of throwing me a bone.
そりゃ本質的に言えばそうだけど身も蓋もないわねその言い方。
I mean, those aren't the words I would use, but sure. It sounds a bit harsh when you put it that way.
けど、それはあまり意味がないんじゃないか？
But isn't that a little
学
unrealistic?
校もあるし、バイトだってあるんだ。一日中この家から出ないわけにはいかないんだぞ。
I have school and work to go to. I can't stay locked up inside the house all day. In an instant, Sojo's objectivity had her stumped, leaving her at a loss for words. He honestly had no idea what position he was in. To believe that he had any sort of freedom at this point was shocking to say the least.
いや落ち着け私話が早くなってある意味助かるし。
Just breathe out, Alko. If anything, this speeds things along. Alko somehow managed to compose herself. As a matter of fact, she had never had any intention of imprisoning him. Stripping him of his freedom and incarcerating him would go against their agreement anyway. Besides, if she was going to go that far, it would be easier to just kill him. To Alko, letting him live meant showing a modicum of respect to Sojo's way of life. I don't know why still,
もしかしてこの部屋から出ちゃいけないのか？俺。
but I assume whatever he's hiding on his chest is some sort of brand or circuit or whatever that's going to be an ex machina later on. You're not saying, wait, don't tell me I can leave this room. A light bulb went off his head as he blurted out what he was thinking. It appeared he had finally got the grim message. Alko looked somewhat satisfied at his dismay.
大丈夫よ監禁生活なんて面倒なことだけはしないから。
Relax. Locking you up would be more trouble than it's worth.
あなたの自由はそれなりに考慮してあります。そのあたりのさじ加減はアリスの手腕に任せてあるからあなたは心配しなくていいわ。
Your freedom was taken into consideration. To what we decreed are free. To what degree you are free would be left to the discretion of Alice and her abilities. So you won't have to worry about that. A gloomy look fell over Sojiro's face as he found his concern growing by the second.
いいあなたの処遇はこの家に住むことを前提にした監視でそれも解決策が見つかるまでの期間限定。
Alright, look. Sparing you alive is based on the premise that you will live in this house under supervision. And that's only until a more permanent solution is found. We men in black mind
何
wipe.
でもいいから目撃者を殺すなんてことよりこっちの方がよっぽど穏便でしょ。
It's a lot more amicable than disposing of the witness, don't you think?
だいたいこれは私とあなたとの約束なんだからいちいち文句言わないでよね。ただでさえアリスとの冷戦が続いてて頭痛いんだから。
At any rate, this is my way of keeping our promise, so no complaining. This cold war I'm waging with Alice is enough of a headache already. She sighed as she stared at Sojiro down as he laid on the bed.
けど勘違いはしないで。
But make no mistake,
ここじゃあんたの地位は最下層のさらに下。番犬より下なんだから。あんたの生殺与奪はあの夜から私が握ってるんだから。あんたは私に所有されてるようなもんなの。
your status here is the lowest of the low, even lower than the Dao's. Since that night, I'm the one who decided whether you live or die, which means you belong to me now. Kinda hot. If they weren't, you know, high schoolers.
さあこれで自分の立場分かった。
Is that clear enough for you? Alko finished her declaration. Sergio suddenly looked up at the ceiling, but she would not notice his reaction. He meant no offense to Alko, but he had to hide the fact that he was fundamentally disagreed with her analogy. In Sergio's opinion, it was disrespectful to both dogs and humans to be called lower than a dog. A more accurate analogy of their power dynamic would be that of a rabbit and a wild boar, hence he chose not to voice his opinion. So I guess I'll live. Shut up, Sojiro. Glock in, brother. Unlike his apartment, this thing here was decorated with ornate patterns. Putting aside how he would be treated here, in terms of lodging, it was a definite upgrade. Exactly, brother. What's the complaint? You have to learn manners. Oh no. Maybe it would not be all that bad. Sergio nodded slowly, as if to persuade himself. And
とりあえず命は助けてあげるから。
for the time being, decided to let you live. I don't know why I flipped that so bad. That's what she told him not 2 days ago.
あまり納得したくないけど自分の立場は分かったよ。うん、確かにそんな約束だった。いろいろと言いたいことはあるけどそれは認めるしかない。
Wow, don't really accept what you're saying. I understand my position. I don't remember what you promised me now. I remember what you promised me now. There are a lot of things I could disagree with, but I admit you promised me at least that.
だけど君たちと一緒に住めっていうのは本気なのか？青崎は細かいことは気にしないとしてもさっきの子は嫌がりそうだし俺だって少しは。
Are you really serious about me living with the two of you? I know you're pretty easygoing, but that girl seemed pretty against it, and I'm not exactly... At that point, he zipped his lip. Ako's eyes were tinged with bloodlust.
あら、しずきくんはご不満？
Oh? Please excuse me. I'm sorry to hear you're dissatisfied with our arrangement. Her contrived smile, so obviously forced, struck despair into Sojiro's heart. Come to think of it, he vaguely recalled her warning him to not make her repeat herself. Furthermore, as a practical matter, Sojiro Suzuki's life was now in the hands of Alko Aozaki. It would be unwise to anger her further, he told himself, as if speaking to a third
い
person.
や別にだってそれ以外ないんだろ。
Not at all. I mean, what choice do I have anyway? None, Ako said in a firm nod of her head. Sojiro slumped his shoulders in surrender.
うん青崎の言い分は分かった。
Alright, I understand you now,
ただ
Aozaki.
一応聞いておきたいんだけど俺の人権はどこに行ってしまったんだろう。
Just let me ask you one thing. Do I have any human rights?
バカね。そんな形のないものなんて初めからあるわけないでしょ。つまんないこと言わないでよ。
Poor little Suzuki. He had never had any in the first place. I stopped wasting my time with stupid questions. Sojiro reflected upon her answer, now feeling like his question was, indeed, stupid. He should have already known the answer before he asked.
ああだと思った。そんな気はしてたんだ。目が覚める前から。
That's what I had thought. I had a feeling this was going to happen even before waking up. His muttering provoked a dubious stare from Alco, which she quietly retracted it. If she questioned every little thing he said, they would be there until sundown.
とにかく納得いったみたいね。
Well, as long as you understand.
じゃあ次、いよいよ本題。今に移動するわよ。説明しなくちゃいけないことが山ほどあるんだから。
Now we need to get down to brass tacks. Let's move to the drawing room. I have a ton of explaining to do.
で、一人で立てる？
Can you stand on your own?
さっきから手を動かしてたから血は巡ってる。歩くぐらいならいけそうだ。
I was able to move my hands earlier, so blood's at least flowing. I should be able to walk.
そう、なら問題ないわね。
Good. You'll be fine then. With that, he turned her back and walked away from him. He had seen his bold form of hers many times before. Instantly, the memories flashed back to him like lightning.
そうだった。青崎はこういうやつだった。
I remember now. This is the Aozaki I know. Without knowing it, he cracked a smile. He was so lost that he did not know his left from his right, but recalling this alone was enough to calm him. The Alco he knew was different from the one in the House of Mirrors. She was not that brooding girl he saw there. He felt a pang of nostalgia that Alco he knew was brisk in movement and unfaltering in gaze, just like this one. She was the same as when he first met her, moody yet overflowing with confidence in her element.
ほら、急いだ急いだ。
Let's go. Let's go. Chop chop.
アリスがさっきから今でお待ちかねよ。
Alice waiting for us in the drawing room. He was already outside the door, standing in the chilly corridor, speaking to you like a tutorial NPC.
寝たきりの辛さを知らないだろう、青崎は。
You must know that it's like to be veteran now, Zaki. You must not know what it's like to be veteran. Grunting and groaning, Sojiro eventually got to his feet. His body heavy and stiff while lying down, cried out in his pain as he tried to stand and walk. Every step shooting pains through his bones. Despite this, he put on a calm face and made his way towards Alco. Typically, he was quick not to pay attention to life's little struggles, but these pains, he needed to force himself consciously to ignore them. In other words, he was displaying false bravado, an uncharacteristic reaction for someone who never suppressed their true feelings.
驚いた。あんた本当にタフね。
Amazing. You really are tough, huh?
ありがとう。けど心は弱いんだ。
Thanks. It's just my heart that's fragile.
そう。参考までに心に留めておくわ。
Oh,
でき
yeah?
るだけ優しく扱えるようにね。
I'll keep that in mind and try not to hurt your precious feelings. Naturally, her voice was devoid of any true empathy. She turned away from the once more dejected Sojiro and began walking briskly down the corridor. Oh, man. Just then she stopped, feet snapped together as though something had popped into her head. And just as if she was remembering something she had forgotten in a completely trivial way.
それじゃあ行くわよ。ついてきて、宗十郎。
Follow me, Sojiro. She gallantly turned back the way she was heading, the words sounding so natural as she spoke them.
お
Alco did not see the look on Sojiro's eyes as she heard her words. For though she worked in the arcane, the spell Alco had woven was apparent to everyone but her. After blinking his eyes as if blinded by something, Sojiro casually nodded and followed behind her. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. Call a dude by his first name. It's just that easy. The sheer size of the interior was daunting. The 3 floors of this mansion contained more rooms than Sojiro's entire apartment building, except their size was excessive. Here, the mansion's rooms seemed too numerous for so few inhabitants, its lavish carpeted halls cold and dreary. The guest room that Sojiro had been sleeping in was on the 2nd floor of the east wing. East being Alco's, I think? A staircase leading down to the 1st floor was the end of the corridor at the center of the mansion. Winter sunlight beamed through the windows, which only made the empty corridor appear even lonelier. must not get much snow because at least here in Michigan, the light it will beam off that snow. Like that. Like, kind of like that. The center of the mansion was topped by a vaulted skylight overlooking the first floor. Actually, I don't know what slash marker does. Maybe I shouldn't be pressing that. Now that I think about it. Now that I think about that, maybe I shouldn't be hitting that button. The center of the mansion was topped by a vaulted skylight overlooking the first floor. The staircase connecting the first and second floors lined its walls. Another staircase at the other end of the second floor corridor presumably led to an attic or storeroom of sorts on the third floor. I was going to question when they said it's a 3-floor mansion. I don't think they talked about the attic much. I don't think most places include an attic as a floor. Paying no mind to Sojo's gawking, Akko descended the stairs with familiar steps. The foyer was a place, or the foyer, I actually don't know what the correct pronunciation is of that. The foyer was a place of white and wooden grain. Its hardwood floors shone brightly under the sunlight coming in from the ceiling. The tall white walls were spotless and brawny. I didn't notice that fireplace there either. There was a staircase leading to the second floor and a long, unused fireplace. An electric telephone sat on a table, opposite a solemn grandfather clock. It was more like an old castle than a mansion. Akko shot Sojiro a callous stare, who stood captivated by the underworldly scenery.
今はこっちよ。ぼさっとしない。
Hey, snap out of it. Ew. Hey, snap out of it. The drawing room is this way. She grabbed the knob of the door next to the stairs. There were 4 doors to the foyer, and the easternmost as you entered the house led to the drawing room. The door on the opposite side of the foyer led to the mansion's west wing. To the south was the entrance. On the north side was one more door next to the fireplace. Door? What door? Down underneath the stairs, this door was connected to a bathroom unbeknownst to Sojiro. Due to the lack of windows, the first floor's corridors were not well lit. And the second floor was a seldom attended infirmary, and the foyer with a stairwell in some foreign castle. When the first floor corridor was a windowless labyrinth. Then the first floor corridor was a windowless labyrinth. Windowless labyrinth. Labyrinth. Holy shit, what's happening to me? Am I having a stroke? Labyrinth. A windowless labyrinth. Not unlike the corridors of a hotel. Although it had been long since Sojiro came to the city, even he could feel this place was out of the ordinary. Seeing as he was going to be stuck here for the foreseeable future, he found it hard to get excited about living in a haunted house.
そこが今で奥が厨房ね。簡単な料理ぐらいはできるようになってるから。
So that's the drawing room, and a little farther down is the kitchen. It's fine for cooking simple meals.
今の隣にはサンルームがあるんだけど、ここが食卓の代わり。って、
Here next
そんなの後でいっか。
to the drawing room is the sunroom, which we use as a dining room, but we'll get to that later. Akko said, reaching to the door along the dim corridor. However, she paused before turning the knob. He flashed her a meaningful glance, which she quickly withdrew. Then, without further ado, she opened the door.
お待たせ。承諾したわよ、あいつ。
Sorry for the wait. He's on board, she said to Alice as she entered the drawing room. After hesitating for a moment, Sojiro entered after her. Compared to the corridor, the drawing room was unexpectedly modern. The carpeted floor, leather sofas, and large 30-inch television were more what Sojiro had come to expect in a normal home. In this family-oriented room, a girl far removed from said setting sat quietly on the sofa. Alko sat on the sofa across from the girl in all black. This gave Sojiro two seeing options. Next to Alko Ozaki, or next to Alice Kwanji. You can't be this horny, kid. You're gonna post up. Oh, that's good. After about 2 seconds of deliberation, he decided to stand by the wall as if neither option appealed. Alko and Alice were facing each other across the coffee table. The clean, perfectly level table somewhat added to the austere atmosphere. Austere. I see austere. Austere
当事者
atmosphere.
も認めたことだし
Austere. I don't know
こ
why
れ
they.
で何の問
That
題も
was
な
the
いわ
UK
ね
pronunciation.
Alice.
That's weird. It's a she agreed. You shouldn't have any objections, right? Alice gave one deep nod in response to her non-question. From his position against the wall, they looked as though they were clearly up to some niggling grievances. Don't know many people can, Huh. Sojiro got the feeling that the two did not entirely see eye to eye concerning what to do with it.
そうね。原因も究明しないといけないし。
I suppose not. We still need to investigate the cause. She cast a sideways look at Sojiro, with those dark shaded eyes of hers. Her voice shared the same cold indifference, making it abundantly clear that she had no intention of accepting him as a housemate.
けれど、あなたはそれでいいの？
And you're fine with this?
遊園地でのことを忘れてはいないでしょ？
I do hope you haven't forgotten what happened at the amusement park. Alice's voice was a mixture of judgment and scrutiny. She was aware that from an outsider's perspective, she and Alko appeared dangerous. She wanted to know if Sojiro was up to the challenge of living with such people.
そりゃ夢だと思い込みたいけど、ちゃんと覚えてるし、できるだけ無事に済ませるにはこれが一番無難そうだ。
I feel like we're paraphrasing the translation here, but I wish it had all been a bad dream, but I remember it perfectly. Above all else, it was only way they would have let him live. Alice responded apathetically with a non-communal murmur. She silently placed a small object on the table with a clink. She pulled her pale fingers away from a small glass bottle. The glass, more pale blue than transparent, was enough to signify its high quality. With a crane-like motion, she removed the top. Even though this was the first time he had seen such a thing, something about it made him uneasy. Was it that it made him sad, or Ako's standoffish behavior only added to his concern? Was again fixed her eyes on Sojiro, who was bracing himself for the worst. The glint in her eyes was bewitching. With not a single emotion apparent on her face, she called his name. I don't know, that looks kind of pissed.
しずきくん？
Suzuki.
はい。
The moment he responded to her whispered call, his surroundings began to transform. The air grew thick, so thick it took on a color and shape. The density and discomfort that coiled around his skin made it seem like the air had become words. Opening his mouth to gasp for air, the words invaded his lungs. Instinctively, he covered his mouth with his right hand and clutched his chest with his left, both hands appearing clear as mud. Even the thickest of mountain's fogs never seized his senses like this. If he had to come up with an analogy, no words could quite describe it, but it was like he was standing in the pages of a newspaper. The first sense to adjust to this new sensation was his hearing. Then his breathing stabilized, yet the feeling of suffocation remained. There was nothing restraining him that he could see, but he felt an intense claustrophobia. Before he had felt shock at the sudden change, he reached out in an attempt to find an escape, but his outstretched hands found only emptiness. It seemed contradictory that a place with no walls and a wide view could feel so cramped. Spirited away in a dense fog, back in the mountains, such superstitions never seemed real to him, until now. And then, he finally noticed, a surprise to beat all surprises. The drawing room had not changed in another world at all. He knew this for certain because he could still see the room he was in just through the fog, as well as the two girls, Ako Ozaki and Alice Kanji, watching him closely. It was simply a problem of perspective. The floor was dark and perfectly flat. Looking up, the two of them stood. The two girls were like two impossibly gargantuan clouds, coldly looking down at him. Remembering the structure of the rooms and layout of the furniture, Shoujo's unsurpassed candor finally grasped his predicament. The parade at the amusement park had nothing on this. Somehow he was inside the glass bottle that Alice Kwanji produced only moments ago.
図らずも
That was unexpected. Marveling at Alice's wickedness, Alko glanced at the small bottle on the table.
2日前の夜と同じ状況になったわね。今回そいつは起きてるけど。
It's the same as 2 nights ago, only this time he's awake. Alko calmly mused. Alice, however, was not looking down at the bottle. Instead, her eyes were locked on Alko.
意外ね。青子は怒ると思ってたのに。
I'm surprised. I thought you'd be upset.
いや、私も似たようなこと考えてたから。
Not really. I thought about doing something similar.
少しは魔術ってもんを思い知らせておかないと困るでしょ。
He need to be taught a little lesson about magecraft anyway.
アリスがやってくれるなら止めはしないし、怒りもしないわ。
Saving me the trouble to tell you the truth. I even may.
ま、こっちが予定していたものより何倍もめちゃくちゃだけど。
Though, this is a little hardcore even for me. Alko did not take her eyes off the bottle as she spoke. Although she did her best to feign indifference toward Alice's magecraft, she could not completely hide her curiosity. The figure inside the bottle, likely having caught on to what was happening, tried various things like flailing his arms and sprinting around. The surface of the bottle was cloudy, so it was hard to make out exactly what was happening inside.
ところで、これって私にくれたやつとは別物みたいだけど。
By the way, this one looks totally different from the one you gave me.
あれより作りは細かいわ。
This one took more time to create.
青子にあげたのは使い捨ての隔離するだけのものよ。これはお互いの声も聞こえるから。
The one I gave you was disposable and only made to isolate the subject. This one allows for two-way communication.
へえ。けど、その割には何の反応もないわね。
Really? He doesn't seem to be replying now.
青子には聞こえないだけよ。
You just can't hear him. Alice said calmly, finally dropping her gaze to the bottle. Just like the figure inside stopped moving, he heard only Alice had a connection to the world inside the bottle.
なんだ、術者にしか特典はないんだ。
Lame. Only the casket gets to have fun. Alko sighed, losing interest. Ignoring Alko, Alice opened her mouth as if to speak to someone not altogether there.
どう？これでも一番無難だと思う？
How about now? Oh wait, wrong person. How about now? Still think this is the safest option? The person she was talking to was no other than the one inside the bottle. She was, of course, referring to Sojiro's earlier comments. It was her way of testing the boy, who implied that living in this mansion seemed safe.
いきなり小瓶に閉じ込めて聞き返すあたり、容赦ないというか。この子の洋館への執着も問題よね。
Suddenly trapping it in a bottle and interrogating him is pretty ruthless. But even more worrisome is her attachment to this man. Then again, considering Alco had invited this witness to a house of mirrors for a fight to the death, she was in no position to criticize. She would make sure Alice did not let her emotions get the best of her. But for now, she was content to observe as a bystander. After a moment, Alice's expression changed. She must have gotten an answer to her question. Without any way to tell what the situation was inside the bottle, Alco had no idea what the answer was. However, only that Alice's face was the one she had made when the boy she was talking to said what she wanted to hear.
私が言えることでもないけど。
I suppose I'm not one to talk, but for an instant, she glanced at Alco. Slightly shaking her head, she reached for the small bottle.
ほんと、物好きね、しずきくんは。
It's Suzuki. It's quite a strange one. She said his name with what seemed like a forlorn frown. As soon as she removed the stopper, the thin air in the room quivered. The boy, who had been casting a shadow on the wall until a minute ago, now leaned against it for support again. Ako turned around to face Sojiro, right behind her, resting her elbow over the back of the sofa.
どう？気分は。
How do you feel?
見ての通り、めちゃくちゃだ。
What does it look like? Messed up. Sojiro answered with unusual hostility. Ako was reminded of his strange behavior, and she was unsure that he would be scared or shocked, not angry.
夢で似たようなものを見てなかったら、今頃心臓が止まってたところだ。そこはついてたと思う。
I hadn't already seen what something similar in a dream, my heart probably would have stopped. I'm lucky it didn't.
信じられないのは、なんでいちいち実践するかってことだ。魔術は怖いものなんだって言えば済むだろうに。
What I can't believe is why you felt the need to.
物騒な青崎の声、聞こえてたぞ。
AI viewers! You could just have said it was scary and left it at that. Plus, I could hear the threatening things you said, Aozaki.
物騒で悪うございました。
My sincerest apologies.
けど、言葉じゃなくてきちんと実感してもらいたかったのは本当よ。
But it is true that I wanted you to feel it for
ど
yourself.
う？魔術ってもんを甘く見てたでしょ、宗十郎。
At least now you'll take Magecraft more seriously, won't you, Sojiro? As much as she hated to admit it, she was right. Though it's not what he had taken Magecraft lightly, but merely that he couldn't understand.
けど、実感うんぬん言われても困る。
I still don't really get it, though, even after the experience.
これまでの青崎の無茶っぷりと、今のわけのわからなさはとても比べられない。
Compared to the crazy stuff I've seen you do, Aozaki, whatever the heck just happened to me was hardly unbelievable.
そりゃそうよ。アリスと比べないでよね。
Of course not. Alice and I are completely different.
アリスの魔術は私たちの中でもデタラメで、もう言葉にできないぐらい最悪なんだって言ったでしょ。
I already told you, even in our world, her Magecraft is considered over the top and unspeakably horrible.
失礼ね。
Oh, really?
人命を脅かすという点なら、青子の方がよっぽどひどいと思うけど。
When it comes to which of us is more a threat to human life, I think you're far more dangerous than me.
それよりあなた、本当に彼を殺す気はあったの？
And besides the point, I'm starting to harbor doubts about you even wanting to kill him in the first place.
一体どんな追い詰め方をすれば、青崎なら多分安全
You've been pretty
なんて
soft
言
on
葉が
him
返っ
to
て
say
くる
that
のかしらね。
he believes he's safe here.
そんなのはあんたに決まってるでしょ。
Of course I wanted to kill
こ
him.
いつが何て言ったか知らないけど、絶対意味違うから。
I don't know what he's told you, but you got it all twisted.
こいつはね、そもそも何が危ないのかやけどするまで気づかない。
This guy, he's a danger to... until he gets
っ
burned.
ていうか
He
や
doesn't
けど
realize
して
he's
も
in danger until he
よ
gets
し
burned.
死ななきゃ安いなんて本気で思っちゃう天然ボケなの
And even then, he's probably, well, at least I'm still alive and whistle all the way home.
ねそうでしょ宗十郎
Isn't that right, Sojiro?
Eh?
He had no idea what she was suddenly shouting, but he nodded anyway, just to be safe. The drawing room had become awfully noisy. Alice sat watching the two at a complete loss. And so Sojiro accepted his supervised life in the mansion. That he would be living under the same roof as two professional mages. Having experienced firsthand how dangerous life could get, he was finally at peace with the situation.
まあそういうことなら
If that's how it's going to be, then oh well. Even if he did not seem like it, he fought through this in his own way and come to a clear resolution.
それじゃあやっと本題に入れるわね
Okay, down to business.
監視するとは言ったけどどうやって宗十郎を監視するのか
So
そ
I
もそ
know.
もあなたを監視する原因になった魔術とは何なのかそのあたりざざっと説明させてもらうわ
So I know we said that you'll be under our supervision, but we haven't really talked about how we'll be doing that, or the magecraft that is responsible for enforcing it. Let me start with a brief explanation. Oop. Perhaps he was brought up to listen closely to lectures about new information, because Sojiro suddenly looked attentive. Alice, on the other hand, kept her mouth shut in silent defiance.
最初に言っておくとあんたをここに住まわせる期限は決まってるから
First off, the time you'll be made to live here has been
要
predetermined.
はその期限まで誰にも私たちのことを喋らずまた勝手に死ななければ晴れて自由の身ってこと
And so, until the end of this period, if you don't tell anyone about us or die for some reason, you'll be free to go.
ねそうよねアリス
Good so far, Alice?
そうね
Indeed.
私たちを怒らせなければそういう可能性もあるわね
Provided he refrains from angering us, that is, he has a chance of survival.
よしいきなり話が食い違ってる
Yep, this is already off on the wrong foot. Sojiro's head dropped like he knew what was coming.
ちょっと黙っててアリス
That's enough, Alice.
あとあんたも黙ってろ
And you shut up. She scowled at the two of them, already at her wits' ends.
話を続けるけど
As I was saying,
秘密保持のためにあんたを住まわせる場合二次災害はどうしても避けられない
having you live with us for the sake of confidentiality means other problems are bound to come up.
同じ家にいる以上余計に秘密を見せることになるからね
You'll
ア
have
リ
to
ス
be
はそれ
exposed
が嫌なんだろうけど
to even more of our secrets. That's why Alice is so bent out of shape. Now that Akko mentioned it, Sojiro could see her point. With their target of observation under house arrest, disclosure of more confidential information was inevitable.
ちょっと待ってくれ堂々巡りじゃないかそれ
Hold on a second. Doesn't that make me here a little counterproductive? Yes, Sojiro, you're catching
大丈
on to the
夫
rest of the
問題ない
class.
わだって最後にはここで暮らした記憶ごと私たちのことを忘れてもらうことにしたから
It's not a problem. In the end, we'll just have you forget everything about us living here, and about living here at all.
忘れてもらう
Have me forget.
そう公園での一件から丸ごと全部忘れてもらう
From the incident in the park onward, you forget
ルーンっ
everything.
ていう魔術系統があるんだけどねその中でサクッと記憶を忘れさせるものがあるのよ
There's a kind of magecraft called runes that have the power to make one
非
forget
人道
memory.
的であるのは変わらないけど
And
命
let
を消す代わりに記憶を消すってことで妥協して
oh hey Bella Johan, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Just chilling, trying to make it through chapter 6. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I'm a little concerned. You tell me right now. What's your favorite pie flavor right now? I say this because This line of exact dialogue has happened maybe 5 times before. Give me your favorite pie flavor right now, Bella. Bella, don't tell me you're a bot, Bella, please. My stream would be going a lot better if you tell me what pie flavor you are. Okay. A bit inhumane, but erasing memories seems to be better than, well, erasing your life.
青崎、それは
Do I get a say in?
悪いけど反論は却下
Sorry, but no objects.
で肝心の忘却のルーンなんだけど
Two names? Sure,
私
you
は
can
ア
say
リス
two
の専
names.
門外だから文献を探して習得するのに時間がかかる
Anyway, in the amnesia room outside of our field of expertise. So it's going to take some time for us to find the rune and learn everything about it.
つまりそれが監視の起源ってわけ
Cherry and apple? Okay. Cherry and apple. Interesting. Not a fan of rhubarb or like pears. There's a lot of weird pies or pumpkin pie. To be honest with you, I don't like pie at all. I'm a big savory person. If the only pie I would eat is like chicken pot. I don't know, cherry and apple. Okay, I see. Oh, welcome in. Sorry about that. I just had some. I presume bots come in, and so I have to make tests to see if people are human. Yes, yeah, no problem. Sorry about that. In other words, that's when you get the lead.
私たちが忘却のルーンを見つけるまで命を担保に口を閉じてい
Love
ても
from
らうわ
Cali? Oh, I'm Michigan, so East Coast. Well, Midwest, but on Eastern Standard. So I forget. It's like a 3-hour difference. So it's like 8 o'clock where you are. Okay. Yeah. Oh, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. What's got you interested in Witch on the Holy Night? Or are you just browsing tabs? I try to stream at least 2 days a week, and I'm looking for a job, but you know, it's. I went to school with a focus on like. You really don't my stream. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you've been around too long to see most of it. I'm like, this is the boring section. I'm kind of just using the visual novel as like a therapeutic, like occupational therapy. I think back in. Yeah, we'll keep it up. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah. Play any more story mode games? I mean, I have a humongous backlog of games. In terms of visual novels. No, this is a visual novel. I kind of want to do. I was trying to do Witch of the Holy Night even before the movie that comes out in November. Great tasting. I didn't name any games yet. Bella, you're scaring me, Bella. You're scaring me, Bella. Just saying, yeah, there's a bunch of visual novels go through, like The Silver Case by Suda51. There's Zato, which I hear is really good, that could be doing one day. There's Umineko, but that's like what? It's a 2-part game, answers and questions that are both like 60 hours runtime. That's like the stamina training I'm kind of working up towards. And then artist. Oh, that's cool. I'm trying to practice art. It sounds weird to say like art in general. There's like a bunch of physical media art I'm trying to get used to. Then trying to get my mind wrapped around like digital art, and then also would like to learn Blender as well. Like I know how to use it, but I don't know how to make. I don't know. I don't have like a workflow. That makes sense. On commission, I would love to customize something for you. I appreciate that, but I'm not even monetized right now. I'm sort of trying to just enjoy the process. Much like in drawing and modeling. Trying to enjoy the process of it before you like start investing in it. But yeah, hey, who knows? Might commission you someday. Could have a better footing on this. Till we find his ruins, we're using your life as collateral, so keep your mouth shut.
アリスはそんなややこしいことはせずに五感全部壊してしまおうなんて言ってるけど。
Yeah. I mean, do you have like a Blue Sky, a Twitter, or like a streamer I can look up? Don't post a link because I had some people do some weird stuff with links, but you can just like have a Discord. Connect there. No, I don't really. I kind of keep my Discord kind of lock and key, honestly. Is there like a mutual server you're in? Alice's idea is where we destroy our 5 senses and be done with you. Oh, we destroy your 5 senses and be done with you and avoid the extra effort. It's kind of crazy. LOL. You don't have a Twitter or like an Instagram or something like that? I feel like that would really help with advertising more the streamers. I feel like it probably gets a lot more monotonous going from chat to chat. Yeah.
しずきくん、リビングスタチューとか嫌でしょ?
Suzuki, what do you say? As to becoming a living statue? Once I follow you there, I can show you so. Again, I don't really do that on Discord, sorry. Shojuro only understood about 80% of what Alko had explained. The last part about a living statue had gone straight over his head. He had tried his best to visualize what Alko was going on about. The only thing he could conjure in his mind was an image of the mascot creature Kitsy. Actually, I did have a question for you though. How did you find the stream? I feel like this is a rather niche game in a niche category. And like maybe you found tags, but I'm curious on what tag even brought you here. Bella, if you're still here. If you're not, I kind of understand. Yeah, I'd rather not. Akko would agree with the bewildered Sojiro. Neither one the wiser to the other's misinterpretation.
とにかく遅くても1ヶ月で 忘却のルーンは見つけ出せるだろうし、一回きりの実行ならプラス2ヶ月ぐらいでなんとかなるわ。
Anyway, at most, it will probably take about a month to find this amnesia room. Another 2 to put it to
それまで
use.
あんたにはここで暮らしてもらうわけだけど、私たちについて無知のまま歩き回られると命の保証はできないのよ。
Until then, that means you'll be living with us. However, we can't just let you wander around without a clue what's going on. It's a surefire way to get yourself
そ
killed.
っちもこっちの事情を知らないのは気持ち悪いだろうし。なんで今から簡潔に現代の魔法使いの何たるかを教えてあげる。
I doubt you'd be comfortable being left in the dark about us either. So starting now, I'm going to fill you in on what it's like to be a modern musician.
それで少しは私たちへの勘違いもなくなるだろうし。
At the very least, it'll hopefully prevent any more misunderstandings. Not that she fought this country bumpkin had any idea of old or new anyway. The thought brought a smug grin to her lips.
洋館のことは後にして、まずは私たちの立場についてね。
Let's leave a tour of the mansion for later. Let's start with who and what mages are.
でも1から100まで理解する必要はないから。
Don't worry, you don't need to understand everything right away.
どうせ門外漢なんだし、漢字いったことだけしっかり噛み締めておきなさい。
You're an outsider after all, so just bite off only what you can chew. Churchill nodded obediently to Alka's professional instructions. Professorial instructions. That's a weird word I've never seen before. This was Alka's way of telling him not to ask questions when he did not understand something. And though Sojo had taken issue with her statement, he meekly obeyed, knowing better than to object now. Alko nodded approvingly at his attentiveness and started her lecture. Her long lecture. Okay, surely it's the end of
まず
chapter.
魔術師。
No, okay,
魔法使いの
we're
話
going
か
to
ら
do
ね。
it. Let's start with magicians.
魔術
basically.
と魔法の違いは宗十郎には関わりのない話だからしないけど、それぞれ別種のものだと思ってくれればいいわ。
Since it doesn't concern you, I'll skip to the part about magecraft and magic. It's part about how magecraft and magic are not the same. All you need to remember is that they are two different things.
で、魔術師のことだけど、これは絶対条件として隠された存在でなくてはならないの。
Mages, as absolute rule, must operate in
同
secrecy.
業者に知られるのは仕方ないとしても、あなたみたいに関わりのない人間に知られるのは罪に当たる。ほ
Naturally,
とんど
mages
資材クラスのね。
naturally mages will find out about other mages. It's only a crime if an outsider like you finds about one of us. A crime punishable by death, I should
なぜ
say.
かっていうと、魔術ってのは隠されていないと力が薄れてしまうものだから。
Reason being, the more magecraft is exposed, the weaker it becomes.
神秘の語源は閉ざすというギリシャ語だけど、魔術は限られた水着でなければ魔術でなくなってしまう。
You often hear us say mystic or mystery, which comes from a Greek word that means to shut the mouth. It follows that magecraft would cease to be if secrets were revealed.
文明にとって未知なるもの、未開なるものは開かれていないからこそ恐怖に値するのと同じね。
Civilization has always treated the unexplored and unknown as things to be feared because of their mysterious nature.
知られたら迫害されるから隠すじゃないの。
But we don't hide ourselves because of fear of persecution if we were discovered.
未知で亡くなった魔術師というより魔術ね。
But we fear the loss of the unknown
明か
itself.
された魔術は力を弱めてしまう。だから隠匿するのよ。何より私たちの未来のために。
When our arts are revealed, they become weaker. So protecting our secrecy, we're also protecting our own future.
魔術の仕組みはよくわからないけど、とにかく自分だけの秘密でないと弱くなるってことか。
I'm not clear on how magecraft works yet, but I think what you're saying is if you don't keep it a secret, it gets weaker.
じゃあ青崎も弱くなってるのか？俺が見ちゃったから。
So that means that you got a lot weaker now that I saw you, Aozaki.
いいえ、別に。
No, not particularly.
ここからはちょっと込み入った話でね。
Let me explain in a little more
弱
detail.
くなるっていうのはあくまで全体。それも随分と未来の話。
When I say it
個人
loses
単位には
power,
関係のない話よ。
I mean, magecraft as a whole will get weaker in the future. I'm not talking about individuals.
汝陰徳すべしって不分律はこの大元の仕組みが形骸化していつの間にか絶対のルールになっているだけなの。
The unwritten law that thou shalt conceal thyself was an adage from a bygone age that at some point became law of the higher sword.
文明社会の法律と一緒よ。犯罪不道徳を罰するのは人間的であろうとする意識の高さとそれとは全く別の全体の仕組みを守るための構造的な結論でしょ。
It's like laws in a civilized society. We like to think that it's human nature to punish crime and immorality, but ultimately a structural solution is needed to maintain order.
犯罪が罰せられるのは野放しにしたらせっかく築いた社会がうまく機能しなくなるから。
Crimes were left unpunished. The society we strive so hard to build would collapse.
で、私たちにとって犯罪にあたるのは神秘の一般化、低俗化であって不道徳とか殺人とかはまあ
And,
それぞれの良心次第ってことで基本的に罪にもならない。
and what we may just consider to be a crime is dissemination and vulgarization of the mystic. Merely immoral things like murder, well, those are a matter of perspective, and they generally aren't considered outright crimes.
そんなろくでもない連中にルールを敷いたのが魔術協会っていう集まり、組合みたいなものよ。
The good for nothing bunch responsible for imposing this law is a group called the Mages Association. Think of them as a labor
魔
union.
術を普及の神秘とせよというのは魔術を魔術として永続させるために敷いたルールに過ぎないわ。
The phrase "make eternal the mysticism of magecraft" is nothing more than a rule they created to perpetuate magecraft itself.
けどその原則は絶対でさ、
Nevertheless, the rule is
これを
absolute.
破った者は魔術世界にはいられなくなる。
Those who violate it cease to exist in the magical
い
world.
え、実際問題として生きていくのが困難になる。
Rather, it would be difficult for them to go on living at all.
私たちは私たちのまあ魔術師としての命
For us, that's our life as for us, that's our life as mages, I guess.
そういうのを守るために目撃者であるあんたを消さなくちゃいけなかった。
In order to protect it, we have no choice but to erase you, the witness to our magecraft.
そこ同情とかしなくていいから。私たちの事情を知ったぐらいで遊園地のことを帳消しにしないでよ。
Don't give me those puppet dog eyes. Just because you know a little about our life doesn't mean we're not fessing up to what happened at the amusement park.
私たちは私たちの判断であんたを殺そうとしたんだから、誰彼のせいってわけじゃない。
It was our decision to try to kill you. It was anyone else's fault.
恨むならきちんと私を恨んでちょうだい。
So if you're gonna blame anyone, blame me.
ま、それはともかく
Okay, back to the topic.
魔術師は職業として成り立ったぐらい社会に認知されていたけど、その魔術自体は墓まで持っていく秘密だった。
Mages are recognized in society enough for it to be considered an occupation. But they took their own magecraft with them to their
それ
graves.
がどう歪んだかは知らないけど、現代ではその職業すら秘密にしなくてはならなくなった。
I don't know what led to things getting so twisted, but even the profession itself has been kept secret these days.
そこまでしないと遠い未来魔術すら消費するだけのものに解体されると教会は恐れたのよ。
If they weren't gone so far, the association feared that in the distant future, magecraft would be used up and the association would fall apart.
自然界の仕組みもかつて天上の領域だった宇宙の運営すら私たちは人知で解き明かせるほどになった。
We reached a point where everything became explainable through the human knowledge. From the building blocks of nature to the fabric of the cosmos, once considered to be the realm of the gods.
人の手に余るもの神秘という未知の領域にとって魔術が最後の砦になると教会の設立者は信じたのかもしれない。
Maybe the founders believed that magecraft would become the last bastion for the unknown. For mystics, that which is beyond human reach.
それとも魔術なんてもう意味がないって達観したのかもね。
Or maybe they thought that is long, or maybe they thought that in the long run, magecraft would eventually become
そんな
meaningless.
わけで魔術師はその正体を隠して各々の秘技を伝えていった。
This
他
bucket
人
ass
に教
blue
えるわけ
bird.
にはいかないから必然的にその伝承者は子
Who
孫に
is
なる。
this blue bird? Whatever the reason, mages hid their identities and passed on their individual rituals in secret. And since they couldn't pass it on to outsiders, it was only natural that they were taught it to their descendants.
私もアリスもそうやって何代か続いた連中の末なのよ。
Alice and I are both products of generations of lineage.
さっき言った魔術協会っていうのはそんな細々と続いてる連中を束ねる一大組織。魔術師にとって司法の神ってところかしらね。
The Mages Association I mentioned earlier is a vast organization that governs those magecraft wielders. Organization that governs those magecraft leaders still dedicated to their fields. Mages think of them as their ruling
教
body.
会もいろんな派閥に分かれるんだけど大抵の魔術師はロンドンの魔術協会に属している。汝隠匿すべしっていうのも教会の三大原則の一つよ。
So the association was actually made up of a bunch of factions, and their vast majority of mages are affiliated with the London chapter. The law to conceal ourselves was one of their three main
魔
principles.
術師が一般人に秘密を漏らすと教会から罰が下される仕組みになっている。
If a mage reveals their secret to a civilian, the association is quick to make an example of them.
そんな罰なんかなくても自分と血族が伝えた魔術のために目撃者は消さないといけないんだけど
But even the mage doesn't get punished. The witness should still be eliminated to protect the mage and their family's magecraft. And that was the end of the first part of the lecture. Uncle paused for a moment. George was doing his best to process the information.
次行くけどいい？
Ready to move on.
いいけどその前に確認したい。
Sure, but let me see if I understand so far.
魔術師が正体を隠すのは自分のためじゃなく魔術のためだったけど最近では自分の正体を隠すことの方が重要になっている。そしてその決まりを破ると教会というところからお咎めが来る。
Sure, but let me see if I understand so far. Mages used to hide their identities not for their own sake, but for the sake of magecraft. Now, they're more concerned with hiding themselves. And if you break the rules, you'll be punished by a place called the
つま
Association.
り青崎たちもその教会に入っているの
Does
か？
that mean you two are members of the association?
いいえ私たちはフリーよ。一応教会とつながりはあるけどね。
No, we're freelance, though we walk in similar
単純
circles.
に教会は最大勢力ってだけ。連中は頼まれもしないのに魔術世界全体の秩序を守ってるの。
They're simply the largest organized group. Even though no one asked them to, they've taken it upon themselves to police the world of magecraft.
だから私たちが何であれ彼らとの関わりがないにしても魔術師としての決まりを破ったら罰しに来るわ。
So no matter how unaffiliated we are as mages, I think the voice is breaking down for her. I think if we break the rules, we'll get punished anyway.
わかった。
I
大体
can't
にま
like
とめた。
get the tone anymore. Okay, I think I
Yes,
got the
yes.
gist of it.
そうやって自分に必要な部分だけ手に入れなさい。
It's all right. Just focus on the part important to you.
次は魔術について。と言っても私自身語れるほど学んでいないんだけどね。
This is magecraft, though I've barely learned enough to talk about it myself.
ごめんこっちの話だから忘れて。
Sorry, forget I said
さっ
that.
きも言ったけど現代において魔術は無意味なものになりつつある。
I touched on this already, but these days magecraft is losing its
ラ
meaning.
イターのない大昔なら火を起こせればそれは魔術として成り立つわ。けど今は何かと便利でしょ。あなたならよくわかると思うけど。
If you created a fire a long time ago, when there was no lighters, that was enough to count as a mystic feat. But nowadays, life is awfully convenient, right? You of all people can appreciate that. Sujiro nodded with a glum look on his face. He'd been made painfully aware of such conveniences. Difficult tasks that would occupy an entire day of work in the mountains could be performed easily here. For him, having brought up in the mountains without electricity or running water, city life was by definition magic. He only wished it would not be such a backbreaking work to adapt to said conveniences.
あ、でも道具を使わずに火を起こせるのは神様の仕事だと思うけど。
I do think creating fire without tools would be God's job, though. No one asked, so
そ
Jiro.
のために積み重ねた手間は火炎放射器を手に入れるより面倒だとしても
Even though we worked out how to do it more efficiently with a flamethrower, Rose wasn't sure how to answer Alka. It would have been easy for him to just ask Alka how much accumulated effort she thought it had taken humans to imitate those gods, but he knew it would come across as an insult.
さっきのを見る限り魔術ってのは何でもできると思ったけど、それは誤解なのか。
From what I saw, I was under the impression that Magecraft can do anything, but maybe I misunderstood. He glanced at the glass bottle on the table. Mentally, he sighed in relief. He said had not come to terms with the fact that he'd been trapped inside that tiny thing. However,
それこそ誤解よ。万能じゃなければ誰が魔術なんて学ぶと思ってるの？
oh, that's a misunderstanding, alright. If Magecraft wasn't all that powerful, why would anyone bother to learn it? Algo puffed out her chest as she chided him.
手間暇かかるけど魔術にできないことはないわ。
It might take some doing. There's nothing Magecraft
中に
can't
は
do.
できていないけどできているように見せるみたいな何らかのイカサマはあるけどね。
Granted, some users are able to trick you into thinking something's possible when it really isn't.
この世界に生まれた以上その許容範囲でできないことなんてないの。そこで魔法が出てくるんだけどそれはまた改めて。
But since we're born in this world, there's nothing we can't do within its limits. Besides true magic, of course, but we'll get to that some other time.
私が言いたかったのは魔術は奇跡を起こしているのではなくてその過程が奇跡だってこと。
What I'm saying is that Magecraft doesn't create miracles. It's only the process that is
結
miraculous.
果が奇跡になるのは魔法の方なの。
To produce real magic, you need true magic.
偉大な魔術師っていうのは個人の魔術だけで旅客機飛ばしたりする人のこと。
A great mage is someone who can fly a passenger jet with only their own
対して
magic.
偉大な魔法使いっていうのは今不可能なことを可能にする人のことよ。
Meanwhile, a magician deals with making the impossible possible.
そういった意味じゃ私たちは最後の魔法使いになるかもしれないけどね。
Which is why we might just turn out to be the last magicians.
脱線してるわよ、青子。
Focus, Alco. Alice had been quietly listening until she muttered her rebuke, as if Alco had crossed the line.
そこまで教える必要はないでしょう。
He doesn't need to know that.
しずきくんに教えるべきことは私たちと暮らす上で危険になる
Shouldn't
こ
it
と
be
だけじゃ
educating
なかっ
Suzuki
た。
on the dangers of living with us? I'm getting
悪かった
impatient.
わ。
I'm
じゃ
getting
あ口
impatient
滑ら
now.
せた。
I don't know how long this chapter is. Sorry. You're right. Slip of the tongue.
ともかく魔術師っていうのは暇さえあれば魔術の実験をしてる連中で自分の家系が伝えてきた秘技を守るためなら鬼でも悪魔にでもなる。
Anyways, mages spend their entire waking moments experimenting in magecraft, and would only become devils in the heartbreak in order to protect their magecraft, by which I mean their family secrets.
必然そのアジト工房って言うんだけど工房も魔術的な機構が積み重なって要塞みたいになっちゃうのよ。
Their layers, which we call workshops, are like fortresses packed with all kinds of magical mechanisms.
秘技を守るために入ってきた相手を問答無用で叩きのめす仕掛けとか。
Like traps that kill intruders before they even know what hit them. It's all to protect that secret.
この洋館もそういった工房と同じなの。
This mansion's no
不用
different.
心に歩き回ってさっきみたいなことになったら私でも助けてあげられないから暗闇には気をつけなさい。気がついたら鏡の中にいるとか本気であるから。
If you wind up trapped like you were before because you wander around carelessly, even I won't be able to help you. So be careful with the dark. You might even find yourself stuck in the mirror. Seriously, that can actually happen.
うん
Dojiro so hoped that he would provide him with a general idea of what to watch out for, but he passed, knowing that he was unlikely to get a straight answer.
枝葉から入っちゃったけど要は私たちのプライベートに関わるなってこと。
That's a lot to take in one go. But my point is, keep your nose out of where it doesn't belong.
いくら最後には記憶を消すって言ってもそれを見られた段階で消すしかないものもあるから。
Sorry. Even though we're going to erase your memory in the end, there are still things that we'd have to kill you for seeing.
なるほど。この中にもルールがあることはよくわかった。他に注意すべきことは。
Got it. The mansion has rules I have to follow. I understand. Is there anything else I should do? His eyes wandered as he trailed off mid-sentence, pondering. His eyes wandered as he trailed off mid-sentence, pondering. He understood that the mansion was more dangerous than the outside, and that Magecraft needed to stay secret. But the explanation seemed to contradict his current problem. For starters, how did he manage to witness something that they took such pains to keep hidden?
すまない。話の腰を折るんだけど、いいかな
Sorry. It just occurred to
魔
me.
術師は教会という組織で結ばれてるんだろなら、どうして青崎はあんな人形に襲われたんだ
Mages are all united under an organization called the Association, right? You got the case. Why were you attacked by the puppet, Aozaki?
あれの持ち主が魔術師なら、君たちは味方同士で争っていることになる。何か説明が不足していないか
If his master was a mage, wouldn't that mean that you were fighting an ally? Am I missing something here?
それは最後にしようと思ってたのよ。
I'm saving that for last.
普通はここまでの話だけで眉唾者っていうか笑い飛ばすっていうか
Normally, this would be the point of the story where you say I made it up or laugh it off.
いくら経験済みだからって魔術なんてもんをあっさり受け入れるなんてできないっていうか
Even if you experienced it, the existence of Magecraft shouldn't be something you accept so easily. Sorry, the page flipping animation being in her eye kind of tripped me up. Ako scratched her head as though troubled by how Sotaro could take every word at face value. Across from her, Alice's face betrayed no expression, but she shared the same opinion.
んおか
Is that
しいの
so
か
weird?
おかしいわよ。そもそもあんたは第一ステップから変だった。
It's mega weird. In fact, you've been weird from the get-go.
普通は驚いたり怖がったり無視したりするものなのにどうして魔法使いだなんて言った私を信じたの
A normal person would be shocked, scared, or unwilling to accept our existence. Why do you of all people believe me when I say I'm a magician? In retrospect, this question should have been posed at the House of Mirrors. Back then, Sojiro was surprised to see the phenomenon of magecraft for the first time. He showed no surprise or discomfort toward Alko, the mage wielding it. Feeling the probing stares of two girls, no, the two mages, made Sojiro feel uneasy. From where he was standing, the suspicion was suspicious in of itself.
何でも何もない
In and of itself.
青崎山ではねあるものはあるのが当たり前なんだよ
There's no reason at all, really. Up in the mountains, people just accept things as they
理由
are.
をつけられるだけの知識がなかったからにしても実際に見たものを信じないなんてことはないんだ
We don't deny something we see in front of us just because we don't have the knowledge to explain it.
それに君も言ったろあなたにとっては魔法もライターも同じものなんだろうって
You said it yourself. Lighters and magic might as well be the same thing, right? Thought they weren't really the same to him anymore, he added quietly before shutting up. What he said about those innocent days in the mountains had come from the heart. And those words resonated with not only Alko Aozaki, but also Alice Kwanji. It was something everyone should have principles to stand by. Indeed, to this boy, those words were an unshakable truth.
あるものはあるか
Some things are the way they are. I see what you're saying. Oh, that was her saying it. She was impressed, if only slightly. But this boy, no matter how much of an outlier he was, could accept that things around him, he would be able to get through this just fine.
そうね。宗十郎はそうなのよね。
That's a good way to explain it, Sojiro.
簡単に信じてもらえることが信じられない。
I guess the fault's with us for not
私
believing
たち
you
の方がどう
sincerely.
かしてたわ。
Why are you paraphrasing? Much like when Alko met Sojiro for the first time. In that classroom on the first day, Sojiro took everything that was happening in his stride. The memory brought a bitter smile to Alko's face.
じゃ、気を取り直してっと。
Alright, let's get back on track.
宗十郎の疑問だけどね。魔術師もいろいろあって、教会に属していない連中もいるの。
To your earlier question, all the various reasons there are mages that don't belong to the association at all.
こういった連中は教会の目を盗んでやりたい放題で、利益目的で他の魔術師に喧嘩を売ってくる。あの人形の持ち主もその類。
They do as they please behind the association's back and fight other mages to their personal gain. That puppet master is one of those types.
そんな連中にとって、私たちは都合のいい格好のカモなのよ。
Jerkwads were a convenient, easy
私たち
target.
は教会と協定関係にあるだけで、門下ってわけじゃないから。私たちが殺されたところで、教会は助けてくれないしね。
Just because we have an arrangement with the association doesn't mean we're one of them. Not like they'll come to save the day if we're risk of being
で
killed.
も魔術師が魔術を使うのは禁じてるんだろ？
Aren't mages forbidden from using magecraft?
それが公にならないのなら、教会は目をつむるわ。
As long as it's not public, the association turns a blind eye.
むしろ、バレなければ魔術師同士の争いを奨励してるぐらいよ。技術も使わないと錆びるってね。
They're practically encouraging fights between mages, as long as it's kept a secret. Like if we don't use it, we'll get rusty or something.
ま、私たちが襲われてるのはそれとは別の話で、単に土地を持ってるからなんだけど。
Anyway, the attacks on us are a different story and have to do with the fact
土地ってこの家？
by land you mean this house.
まさか、この三崎市一帯の管理地の権利を持ってるのよ。私とアリスは。
Oh please, just this house? Alice and I hold the rights to the entirety of Misaki City. We're administrators of this whole region.
管理地ってつまり土地の利権？
Administrators? You own all the land in Misaki? Dazzled, Sojiro looked away. He was sure he could see a halo of light around Alko. He'd only been renting an apartment for 2 weeks, but he was already unaware of how magnificent the prospect of owning land in the city might be.
おお。
The word Sojiro was trying to articulate was rich. He shook all over with an emotion he did not fully grasp.
悪いけど、そういうんじゃないから。
Hold on, you're thinking about this all wrong.
私たちで土地って言ったら、魔術師としての霊地の所有権、支配権のことを言うの。
When we say land, we're talking about the ownership and control of spiritual grounds as mages.
うちはマイナーだけど、古くからこの辺りに根を下ろしてた魔術師で、三崎町もうちの管理下ってわけ。
The Zaki family might be a minor players, but we got old roots here as mages, which is why Misaki falls under our jurisdiction.
管理地っていうのはね、霊的な力が歪んで集まりやすい土地のこと。そういう土地は昔から貴重で、魔術の実践、実験には不可欠でもある。
When I say administered the land, I'm talking about the place where spiritual power is distorted and gathers easily. This type of land has always been valuable, and it's vital to experimentation and practice of magecraft. It's like
成功への絶
uranium
対条件
veins,
は
sort
優れ
of.
た霊地、堅固な工房、多くの弟子たちってね。
After all, the three pillars of what makes a successful mage are a strong workshop, a lot of discipline, and fertile spiritual ground.
魔術師たちにとって土地付き館付きの住み家を持つのは一つの野望なんだから。
To us, owning administered land and a residence to live in are one of our on the priority list. The articles are getting to me. I'm tripping up on all the articles. I want to add, I want to subtract. It's pissing me off. Sergio will let her continue wondering exactly who these two girls were to achieve such ambitions already.
で
Oh
も
my god. Yeah,
そ
I'm
の管理地は
so
大
tired.
部分が教会に仕切られてて、
I haven't
も
even
う
gone that
余ってい
long.
る土地はない
Tired.
の。
However, the most sacred grounds have already been claimed by the association. There's nothing left for
は
anyone
ぐれ魔
else.
術師や土地のない魔術師は教会に毎月寄付金を納めて土地を借りるしかない。ま、手よく教会のお偉いさんたちに尽くす働き蜂ってところね。
Rogue and landless mages have no choice but to borrow land from the organization in exchange for a monthly donation. They're basically worker bees, slaving away for the top dogs of the association.
でも
Don't worry,
ここの土地は何百年も前
surely
か
it'll trickle
ら青
down
崎
to
のものだから
the landless
教会
mages,
とは関
surely.
係がないの。
But the land here, it's been my family for hundreds of years. The association can't get their grubby hands on
こ
it.
こまで言えばわかるでしょ。
Do you understand what I'm saying, Sojiro?
そういったフリーの連中からすれば私たちの管理地はこの上ないごちそうなんだって。
To rogue mages, our land is the juiciest fruit there is. To rogue mages, our land's juiciest fruit there is. Sojiro nods himself, unsure whether to call the conversation mundane or outright disturbing.
よくわかった。青崎たちは土地の奪い合いをしているんだな。
Just the land, it's just the battle of conquest, if you really think
そ
about
うい
it.
うこと。ただ岬の管理地はマイナーのさらにマイナーだからやってくる挑戦者も三流ばっかりよ。
But because the administered land of Misaki is so minor, its challengers have been third
今回
rate.
の敵だってどっかの三流魔術師がここなら楽に奪えると思ってやってきたんだろうし、ま、それもあんたの乱入で急戦してるんだけど。
The enemy this time is probably on some small fry thinking this place is low-hanging fruit. Though for now, we're on a ceasefire because of your intrusion.
管理地の話はそれで十分よ、青子。
It's enough about administered land, Alko.
しずきくんも他に魔術師がいると分かってくれたようだし、
So you seem to understand the point there are other mages out there
危
apart
険
from
がある
us.
とすれば私たちの戦いに彼が巻き込まれる可能性だけど、
If any danger exists, it's more likely to arise at the result of him becoming involved in one of our battles.
それは大丈夫でしょう。
He'll be fine.
だってこいつ魔力のかけらもないじゃない。魔力感知には引っかからないし、番犬以下の人間は戦力って言わないから狙われることもないだろうし。
Besides, this guy has zero trace of magical energy. There's no chance of him being sensed. Plus, he has less tactical value than a watchdog. So he shouldn't be a targeted anyways. Ugh, my brain is getting fried.
私たちはただ忘却のルーンを見つけるまでこいつを逃がさなければいいだけでしょ。
We just have to make sure he doesn't escape before we can find the amnesia room. Alice silently stared her partner down. Their ideas of involving Sojiro differed greatly in both gravity and risk. Ako's lack of experience had led her to believe that Sojiro would not get directly involved in any fighting. It was an honest and rational thought. Ako despised wasted action, so it was natural for her to expect the same frugality from her enemies. However, there were those in this world who cannot tell right from wrong until it was too late.
先のことは誰にもわからないから。
No one will know what the future brings.
その時になって後悔がなければいいけれど。
I only hope that when the time comes, we won't regret this. With a gloomy sigh, Alice came to her feet.
ちょっと何のために長話したと思ってるのよ。
I'm not done with the lecture yet. You don't think this is entirely for Sasuke's benefit, do you?
一番重要なあんたの意見聞いてないんですけど。
Your opinion matters the most, and we still haven't heard it yet.
あなたがあなたの方針を守るというのならそれでいいわ。
If you must stick to your plan, that's fine.
私も好きにするだけよ。
I'll stick to mine. Damn. Alice glided soundlessly to the door. As the girl in black opened it, she paused barely lit by the dim corridor. Then, without warning, to the rhythm of her footsteps, the small glass bottle floated into the air and shadowed without mercy.
あの時こうしておけばよかった。
That is what I should have done earlier. Her sharp tone made Sojiro's face go pale. I don't know why we're so against killing this guy, to be honest, though. Alice's voice was so quiet, it was hard to tell if she was being serious or mocking him.
私も言い忘れていたけど。
I forgot to mention something. She icily eyed them before turning away. That's a weird. And in a voice even cooler than her gaze, she stated,
まだ認めていないから。
I'm still not happy with this arrangement. Yeah, it's a compromise, girl. You get over it. Her frigid departure seemed to forebode the many difficulties that lay ahead.
たく、往生際が悪い。
She is such a sore loser. Ako leaned back on the sofa while hurling abusive epithets. Her face looked even more irritated than
見
usual.
逃すのとここに住まわせるのは別問題よって。じゃあそれ以外にどんな方法があるってのよ。
She says letting you go and letting you stay are out of the question. But I don't see her coming up with any bad ideas.
譲る気もなさそうだし。この分じゃ実力行使に出るかもね、あの子。
She's as stubborn as a mule. I wouldn't put it past her to resort to violence to get her away. Shoujo threw a wary glance at Alko while she grumbled. She wondered what Alice's show of defiance meant, shattering the glass bottle like she did.
宗十郎には記憶をなくしてもらうってことで話はつけ
Maybe
た
she
けど、
wanted the chapter to
心
end,
の底から納
please.
得してないってことでしょ。
I thought I could convince her by including the backdrop that we could erase your memory, but she still had me none of it.
アリスにしちゃ珍しく他人を意識してたけど、やっぱりここに住まわせるとなると難しいみたい。
It's weird that Alice is even cognizant of other people. Maybe having you live here was a step too far for
寝てる
her.
分には良かったけど、起きてるあんたを見たらこう、
Ah,
えも言わぬ刺激心を刺激されたとかさ。
she was fine with you sleeping. But once she saw you awake, it must have aroused her sadist side.
気をつけてね、宗十郎。
Watch your back, Sojiro.
あの子、あんたを殺しに来るかもしれないから。
This might come to finish you out. If anything, Ako's warning was an indication that persuading Alice had hit a dead end.
なんか状況はあの夜からあまり変わってないようだね、青崎。
Somehow, it doesn't seem like the situation changed much at her side, Aozaki. She shot him an unconcerned look in reply.
そうじゃないぞ。
I mean it, really.
青崎の次はあの子がやる気満々じゃないか。さっきみたいな目にあったら逃げることもで
The
きない。
girl is just itching to finish what you started. The next time I make eye contact with her, I might not walk away alive.
こういうの生殺しって言うんじゃないか。
Must be what people call a cliffhanger.
そうならないように努力するのね。
I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen.
ま、アリスの理由は遊園地の時ほど切迫したものじゃないから、そのうち諦めてくれるとは思うんだけど。
Besides, Alice doesn't feel as urgent as I was in the amusement park, so there's always a chance that she'll get over it by herself.
青崎の時とは違うアリスの理由？
You mean her reason for wanting me dead is different from yours?
ええ。遊園地の時は秘密厳守のためだったけど、それは一応解決してる。あんたが底抜けに律儀なやつだってのは、アリスだってもう分かってるし。
That time at the park was because of our strict adherence to secrecy law. But we saw that for now. Even Alice understands how creepily earnest you
なん
are.
で、秘密厳守云々であそこまで反対する理由はないの。あの子は単にね、ここに住んでほしくないだけなのよ。
So she should have no reason
ア
left
リスはあんたを殺したがってる。
to worry about confidentiality. At this point, she probably just doesn't want you to live here, hence her desire to murder you. She said so matter-of-factly that her eyes cold and serious. Sojiro had hoped for a trace of deceit or exaggeration, but alas,
確かにあの子はそんな素振りだったけど、
I did get that impression from her.
変だね。それならもっと他の手段を取ればいいのに。
But it's strange. If that's how she really feels, then surely we can find another solution. I forgot who was talking midway through. Perhaps feeling guilty about putting Alice out, Sojiro looked uncharacteristically concerned. Ako immediately knew what his words really meant.
例えば、記憶を消す魔術が見つかるまで、さっきの小瓶の中に閉じ込めておくとか？
You mean like keeping you locked up inside that tiny glass bottle until we find the magecraft needed to erase your memory? The apathy in her voice, until now, was gone. Chicho answered with a simple nod. In truth, it was undoubtedly the easiest solution for all parties concerned. However,
宗十郎、私、約束は破らないの。
I
覚え
don't
ておいて。
know why you don't. I feel like maybe your rigid code of ethics has done insane harm potentially to everyone involved here, including yourself. Sojiro, I don't break promises. Remember that. She hated taking the easy way out, and that quiet fury was clear in her soft words. As to where the fury was directed, Sojiro was actually acutely unaware. Or acutely aware. I am not even reading anymore. The pain in his chest made him regret making her say those words.
すまない。考えが足りなかった。
I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. Sudden apology caused her unusual sullen expression to return. Ako had not appreciated how angry she was, let alone the reason for it. To hear his apology had come out of nowhere.
あん
To
た
her.
って、
I'm
ほん
not.
とわかんないわね。
I'm so tired. I'm
なんでそこで謝るの？
definitely getting off after this chapter. Oh, okay. She stared at Sojiro unblinkingly.
あれ？そうだな。自分でもよくわからない。多分
Oh, sorry.
そういう気分になったからだろう。
I don't get you at all sometimes. What are you apologizing for this time? She stared at Sojiro unblinkingly. Oh, I'm not sure myself. I guess I just felt like I should. Smart. Even in saying he was not sure, Sojiro had answered honestly. Ako was at a loss for words.
ただ 青崎の言いたいことは分かった。
I get what you're trying to say,
約
Aozaki.
束を守るっていうことは結果じゃなく家庭を守るってことなんだな。
Keeping a promise is more about the process than the outcome. He shot her a brazenly on a smile. That smiling face filled with blissful ignorance, almost made her smile back instinctively.
当たり前じゃない。オチだけ合ってればいいなんて恥ずかしくてできないでしょ。
Now you get it. Even if you were only a means to an end, I couldn't live with it myself. I got tempted to cover her embarrassment with a quick retort, though unintentionally having her true feelings exposed like that made Alko a little uncomfortable. Finding offense in something was second nature to Alko, being made to feel uncomfortable was not. Though far from being unhappy at the remark, she turned away from its speaker. To disguise her perceived shame, Alko started up the conversation again.
あなたを見逃すって言うなら気持ちの問題じゃなくてちゃんと状況もそうなるようにするのは当たり前なの。
If I say I'll let you go, you can be sure I'm going to do just that, regardless of how I
宗
feel.
十郎をここに住まわせることがあの約束を守ることになるんなら厄介なアリスだって言い伏せるわよ。
If letting you live here is what it takes to keep my promise, I can take it, even if it means Alice and I butt heads.
脅かすだけならまだしもずっと瓶付けなんてさせられるわけないでしょ。
Even if they're just idle threats, there's no way I would let him bottle you up forever.
そっか。青崎があの子を説得しない素振りなのは
Thanks.
もうできるだけの説得をした後だからなのか。
Now I get why you're giving up trying to persuade her. She won't be persuaded anymore.
それで彼女とは冷戦中なんだ。
So that's why you called it a Cold War.
別にあんたのためじゃないわ。
Wait, you're aware of the
私は
Cold
私のために
War?
約束を守っ
But
てるだ
not
けだし。
electricity. Whatever. It's not as if I'm doing this for you. I'm just keeping my
お察
promise.
しの通り私のやるべきことはもう終わってるし
Like you said,
あとはそっちが努力する番だから勝手にすれば。
I've done my part. Now it's your turn. Surgeril's the ball's in your court. Huh? Replied the tilting head.
あのね、いい？同居案を何とか認めさせることができるのは私だけだから2日間ぶっ通しでアリスを言い伏せもした。けどそれ以上は無理。
Alright, listen up. I spent 2 entire days arguing trying to convince Allison to agree to this cohabitation idea because, hello, I'm the only one capable of doing it. But I've hit a dead end.
私、ここから先はノータッチだから。
From now on, I'm taking a hands-off approach.
しばらくはアリスから守ってあげるけど、その間にあの子にあんたを認めさせることはあんたにしかできないんだからね、宗次郎。
Protect you from Alice for the time being. But in the meantime, you're the only one who can convince her to accept you, Sojiro.
なんと
What? I had not expected that at all. Alice Kwanji, the girl in black who kept everyone at arm's length. If Alko had a modern day mage hid in hiding, then Alice was a bona fide witch from the Middle Ages.
青崎、君自分がどれだけ難しいことを言ってるか分かってるか。
You understand how difficult that would be, right?
そうね。私もこの件に関してだけは同情するわ。
Of course I do. And now you know how I feel. I keep switching her voice. I'm so tired. Alko stood up from the sofa. This was the end of the discussion, at least for now.
私たちがどんな人間かはおおよそ分かったでしょ。
Now you have no idea of what kind of people we are.
魔術に関してはこれ以上立ち入らない方があんたのためだから。
Fuck the accent.
説明はここまでね。
The less involved you are in Magecraft, the better, so I'll spare you any further lectures.
で、肝心の今後の
How are
方
we
針だ
running
け
up
ど
on 3 hours?
3ヶ月間ここで暮らす。
It feels like 8. The long and short of it is, you'll be living here for 3 months.
当初の目標というより最初の試練はなんとかアリスに同居人として認めてもらうこと。
Your first objective, or rather, trial, if you like, is to somehow get Alice to accept you as a roommate.
試練って言った。
A trial.
今そういう
You should call
類
it
の
a
こと。
trial.
ごまかしてもいいことないでしょ、この手のことは。
Sugarcoating won't do you
う
any
まくいかな
favors.
きゃ粉々なわけだし。
After all, blow it, and you're a dead man. Remember? Yeah. What? Just let's end this. Please, please end the chapter, please. I did not need this explanation. With her cold-blooded remark, Alco started walking towards the door. Like this whole association and magic retort was kind of implied this whole time, and it to be the explicit explanation wasn't any more satisfying. In fact, it was kind of just confirmed everything that was suspicious. I don't know. That was implicit rather. Oh, and one more thing.
総十郎の部屋だけど3階に用意しといたから。2階のホールの裏側に階段があるから使って。ここは寮ってわけでもないし、時間は自由に使いなさい。
Also, about your room. It's on the 3rd floor. There's a set of stairs on the far side of the 2nd floor hall. So use those. Also, this is not a dorm. So you're free to spend your time however you want. You should show him so he doesn't get lost and stumble into
ただし
somewhere.
西館にだけは入らないようにね。東館は私が借りてるから比較的安全だけど、それでも歩き回らない方が無難だわ。
But whatever you do, don't go into the west wing. I rent the east wing, so it should be relatively safe in comparison. But still, it's generally safer to not wander around.
基本安全なのはあんたの部屋とここだけよ。
So, in other words, the safest place for you are your room and the drawing room.
中の説明ってまさかそれだけ？
Wait, is that really all you're going to tell me about the mansion?
青崎はいろいろおかしい。魔術なんかよりもっと大事な説明があると思う。
Saki, that's messed up. That seems way more important to explain the maincraft. He desperately called out to her as she began to leave the drawing room. Ako could not help but pity Seijuro.
せめてほら、案内とか。
Can't you at least show me around? Yeah, show him where the bathroom is, at least.
面倒なんでパス。おのぼりさんを案内するなんて2回もやれば十分よ。
Sorry, but I'll have to pass. Showing a country bumpkin the lay of the land twice is plenty enough for me.
起きたばっかりだし、
I'm not even...
とりあえず
whatever.
今日は部屋
Yes,
で休んだわ。
that's the accident. Plus,
朝に
you
なった
just
ら
woke
学
up.
校まで案内してあげるから。
And good voice acting, honestly. Why not take it easy for the rest of the night? I'll try to get to the school in the morning.
もっとも、私もそう暇じゃなし。そばについてあげられるのは、
We
期
kind of
末
just
試
need to
験
push
が終
on
わるまでっ
if
て
I'm
こ
going
と
to
で。
finish this. I'm like... I'm so drowsy. I think from the medicine and the occupational therapy. It's not like I've made a free time. Obligation to put up with you ends as final exams are over.
1週間
As
以
soon
内
as
にア
final
リス
exams
と
are
仲
over.
良くなるなり、弱みを握るなりしないと。まあ、あれよね。
If you don't find some way to make nice vows or find some way to blackmail her within a week, well, you know what that means. Barely a wave of goodbye, the student council tyrant walked out. He unconsciously clenched the hand he had raised. He left all alone. He was at a complete loss. Now Today was I just needed to stream today. I feel like I kind of want to. This is the stinker, but I did it. I put numbers on the board. Then it's if to encourage this evil ass bird is here. With the sound of light fluttering wing, a blue robin appeared out of nowhere. The tiny, chubby bird instantly looked at Shojiro, up and down. The blue robin, a bird said to bring happiness according to folklore, flapped his little wings as if to cheer him on. Then with a flutter, it mercilessly flicked off the lights. Leaving Sojiro alone in the drawing room, Alko returned to her bedroom. She closed the door to her room, and as soon as she sat on the bed, she was overcome by an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Sojiro had no way of knowing, but she had been prepared for war. But in the event that Alice impulsively pulled out a ploy, Alko had to be ready to react in an instant. She sighed heavily, but not from fatigue she felt at fighting with
ちょっと
Alice.
突っぱねすぎたか？
Was that too hard on him? He frowned, a dejected frown. What weighed in Alex's mind was not Alice.
でも甘くするのはあいつのためにならないし、
I mean, going easy on him wouldn't do him any favors either.
基本おとなしくしてもらった方がいいわ
The
けだ
best
し。
thing he can do for himself is lay low. It would be the trouble if he wandered around like he owned the place after all. The safest thing for him would be if he holed up in his room, too scared out of his wits to leave it.
青崎は味方だなんて勘違いされても困るしね。
God, I hope he doesn't think I'm an ally or
ア
something.
リス同様、人でなし扱いされた方が楽だわ。
Alice is the lucky one. I'd kill to have him treat me as a stranger. She nodded to herself, agreeing with her to take on the situation. For the most part, it was a sound plan. If there was a problem, it would be this.
すまない青崎、一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが。
Sorry, Azaki, I just had one quick question. Not 10 minutes had passed since leaving him in the drawing room. For Sergio to shirk off what she had said and visit her room so fast. It was like he had no sense of danger at all.
実は外に出たいんだ。
I need to go outside. Of course he would ask to leave the house. Alcohol lacked the energy for a sarcastic barb.
洋館の中は歩き回らないし、用を済ませたらきちんと戻ってくる。ただ、門限とかあったら聞いておこうと思って。
I won't wander the mansion, and I'll come back when I'm finished. I just figured I should check if there's a curfew or anything.
でも、アルバイトには行くのよね。
Work, is it? How'd you know? Sojo exclaimed in surprise, when it was Alko who desired to display her shock at him.
まあいいわ。
Fine, you can go.
基本、午後10時まで。その時間には必ず屋敷にいること。その後は夜勤に出かけるなり、庭でバーベキューするなり、何でも好きにしていい。
You should make sure you're back on the estate by 10 every night. As long as you keep to the curfew. You can go to work after school, do your after school work job, have a barbecue in the garden, do whatever you want. I don't care.
それと、玄関に鍵はかかってないから。
The front door was never locked anyway.
気のせいじゃなければだけど。
I get the impression you're
青崎、すごく怒ってないか。
angry with me?
あんた相手に気を使った自分に呆れ果ててるだけよ。
I'm angry, alright. Just not with you. I'm angry at myself for caring what happens to you.
外に出るのはいいけど、その前にこの錠剤飲んで。
And before you go out, take this pill.
え
Jojo took the purple pill from her outstretched hand and dubiously put it in his mouth. He told himself that it must have been some kind of medicine.
それじゃあ行ってくる。いろいろありがとう、青崎。
Alright, I'm off then. Thanks for everything,
あっそ。
Aozaki.
今度は窓から出ていかないでよね。
Oh, and don't leave through the window this time, okay? Jojo laughed himself all the way down to the foyer, unsure of what exactly he had found funny. Aka watched him go, both indifferent and amazed all at once.
ま、予定が半日早まっただけか。
Well, that happened about half a day earlier than
あの
planned.
薬を飲ませるの、明日の朝にしてあげようと思ったの
He was
に。
supposed to take his first pill tomorrow morning. She huffed, ruffling her hair in exasperation, and returned to her room. Discerning what made Sergio tick was a waste of brain matter. In all likeness, he was more concerned about missing 2 days of work than his own well-being after being bedridden for 2 days. Please. No. With the day's work behind him, Sergio returned to the mansion.
よし。どこを探しても、2階のホールから上がれる階段はここだけだ。
You're an idiot. This must be it. The only set of stairs leading from the second floor hall. It was just before midnight. This was the scene that awaited him before the rickety staircase.
ほう。
Not much surprised Sojiro, or rather, being surprised has become a normal thing to him. The scene, however, was enough to leave him speechless. The room allotted to Sojiro was the attic. Right, how you looked at him, this is a prison. Right, how he ran it through his mind was without a shadow of a doubt an addict. The treatment stirred a tinge of anxiety in him, just as he was able to flop onto the taut seats of his bed, wondering if he could make this work despite his share of other problems. He noticed an awkward courtesy, so meager as to be useless.
寒かったら重ねて使うこと。これはサービスとする。
Something to use to be a cold. Consider it a gift. The message in the memo pointed to the meticulous personality of the author. The bed had been perfectly prepared. How long is this chapter? Carefully setting aside the blanket that had been painstakingly placed on the edge of the bed for him, in case he needed it, he looked up at the sky. We're going on hour. Oh my god. We're going into hour 4. This is supposed to be quicker than 5. Though faint, the stars twinkled through the skylight. For a mountain boy, that meager light was more than enough for him. The stark contrast with the drawing room had caught him off guard, but now that he collected himself, it was not so bad. This room fit his personality. Even if he was not used to the building, he felt more at ease here than he did in any building in the city. Perhaps because it was built on a hill, surrounded by the woods. The atmosphere here was a little closer to the mountains, where he used to live.
でも家の中に霧が出るのはどうなんだ
Is
ろ
it
う
normal for there to be a fog in the house? He crooked his neck, pondering over the spectacle he had witnessed. On the way to his room, Sojiro encountered what looked like a fog in the foyer on the second floor. The misty fog drifted into a portion of the corridor, reminding him of a swarm of mosquitoes. He stared at it, and he swore he could make out a strange landscape, and he moved closer to get a better look. Again, out of nowhere, here inside the mansion, a little blue bird darted purposefully in front of him.
鳥
Bird. The bird caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. When he looked to check out the fog again, the strange scene had disappeared.
この家隙間でもあるのかな明日青崎に聞いてみるか
His house must have a draft. Ask Aozaki about it tomorrow. He muttered to himself as he sat on the bed. Meager as it was, the starlight peeping through the skylight calmed him.
これなら
Yeah, this will work. Exhaling slowly, he laid down. For the time being, he had the essentials needed to live. And his bed was many times softer than it appeared. Thinking his worries seemed smaller than they were, he quickly drifted off to sleep. What was the story of from when he opened his eyes to when he fell asleep? Just like that, the short night following the long night was over. For one thing was true, Sojiro was an optimist to a fault. To a major fucking fault. An insanely groundbreaking fault. A California getting swallowed up into the sea fault. But it wasn't the end of the world. Yet. End of chapter. We are not rewinding hours, you're joking. Now let's rewind 5 hours prior to this glutton of punishment going to bed. We're going to follow Alice now? Oh my god! It was 7 o'clock in the evening, but after the unproductive discussion between the two mages and the boy had ended, leaving her roommates and intruder and drawing the girl running through the foyer. From there, she headed to the west wing. These Alconji's personal chambers. There's no way this is longer than chapter 5. I was told chapter 5 was the longest chapter. What's happening here? These were Alice Kwanji's personal chambers in which even her roommate Alka Ozaki seldom dared step a foot. These foyers were illuminated only by a pale moonlight. Hard footsteps echoed through the dreary moonlight lobby. In such mansions in Japan, there were no custom for removing shoes at the door. Hence, Alice crossed the foyer in her boots. She only removed them when she relaxed in her room. Suddenly, she remembered something from her childhood. She used to enjoy feeling the cold cardboard floor on her bare feet and would walk around the foyer on particularly sunny days. After her father affectionately scolded her for it, she never did it again.
そうだったわね。青子は結局守らなかった。
And I don't know why I bother. Ako never does. She let out a quiet sigh. Alice's new roommate, whom she took on after coming to Japan, would not comply with her instructions.
落ち着かないものはしょうがない。
Old habits die hard. Old habits die hard. Whatever. Ako would say, changing into her sleepers. Ako might have thought it natural to do so, given she lived in a typical Japanese house through middle school. But every time Alice heard her flip-flopping through the foyer, she wanted to cancel their cohabitation. By now, Alice was not particularly bothered by it anymore. Human adaptability was remarkable at times, and ungracious at others. The emotional attachment of the past had proven far too brittle under the weight of reality. A little blue bird was perched on the banister. Its little chirping made Alice stop and look its way.
今夜は放っておくわ。今は青子の問題よ。
Even be for tonight. Right now, he's Aqua's problem. The lack of feeling in her voice made the bird tilt its head as it sang, "Tweet, tweet, tweet." It trilled as though questioning at the master's uncharacteristic lenience.
でもその後の処遇は別の話。
But I didn't make any guarantees after
条
that.
件付きのゲームに勝ったぐらいで、いつまでも得意げでいられるのは心外だわ。
Wow, you're petty. She scraped a win even with a handicap in our little game, but I won't let her strut around childishly rubbing it in my face forever. Perhaps it was a perfectionism born of fastidiousness, but despite her prime demeanor, Alice Kwanji was a sore loser. Yeah, no shit. It did not matter to her whose magecraft was superior. Losing the game had proven hard to move on from. The little bird fluttered its wings in agreement. Drinking Alice's contempt, it was itching to dive bomb the invader. It looked like a soldier saluting a superior officer as it preened itself. But the bluebird turned to face its master. Tweet, 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 tweet. The Everything app. The lighthearted tweeting seemed to display a desire to deal with Sojour's first thing in the morning.
そうね。
Indeed.
理由さえできたのなら、瓶なり本なりに入ってもらいましょう。
Indeed, he gives us a reason. Let us put him in a bottle, or perhaps a book. Except, her words lacked any bite. On the face of it, there were the chilling kind of one might come to expect from a witch's lips, but then again so tame as to remind you of a certain robin flapping.
しばらくの話よ。けど、それも一時だけ。
Put him in a
私の
book,
我慢
you
も
could
長くは
like
続かないし。
Thousand Wood Acres him, Kingdom Hearts style. Put him in the Winnie the Pooh's book. You could hang out with Tigger. It's only a matter of time, and there's not much of that. My patience has its
大体
limits.
青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。5日もすれば思い知るでしょう。
Alcohol
そうすれ
is
ば。
in no position to dote on others in the first place. I'll give her 5 days and then... When that time came, expelling him would be simple. Alice as well and not saying Alice would not come to the same conclusion. Would have come to the same conclusion. For some reason, she recalled an earlier conversation.
これでも一番無難だと思う。
How about now? Still think this is the safest option? I don't care about this conversation. I cannot stress this enough. In response to her question, the boy inside the bottle shrugged his shoulders and answered. From his perspective, the city and the mansion were no different. It seemed that having just moved from the countryside, everything was something he had never
自慢
seen
できるこ
before.
とじゃないが、まだ書き物さえ満足にできないし、都会のルールは複雑すぎて。
Like, he is the simplest character I've ever freaking seen. He's so simple that he came back around to being intriguing, to then going back around to being so simple I could not care less. I just want to know what possibly it's etched on. He probably already has the rune that makes him forget etched onto him. That's why he can't. That's why he doesn't know anything. More than embarrassment, his voice is full of resentment. I'm not yeah, whatever. He was angry about something, about Alice, though Alice could not tell what. But
だから、どこにいても危ないことに変わりはないん
so
だ。
no matter where I go, I'm always in danger because I'm the
極端
protagonist.
な話、道を歩くだけでも、人と話すだけでも不安になる。俺は、どこでだろうとうまくやっていける保証はないんだよ。
It may be an exaggeration, but even walking down the street, talking to someone makes me anxious. No matter where I am, there's no guarantee I'll make it
け
out.
ど、ここにはそんな奴に気を使ってくれる人がいる。気遣ってくれる理由は物騒なものっぽいけど、それは本当に贅沢なことだと思うんだ。
But here, there's someone that might show some concern for a person like me. Sure, my reasoning is a little messed up, but I've never known such luxury. Her eyes welled up ever so slightly. Those soft words were something she could not brush off. Those words? Because they made sense to her. Given that everything in the city was a danger to him, nothing had changed after coming to the mansion. In reality, he had no reason to fear this place in particular. If anything was different from the outside, it would be that someone here was his ally. With that view, he had been entirely sincere. The explanation hadn't contained any flattery towards Alice Kwanji, more pandering to Aoko Aozaki. He was simply speaking from the heart. I like it here.
今、鏡に迷い込まれるのは迷惑ね。
Perhaps having wandered into the mirror is more trouble than it's worth right now.
鏡の機能は侵入者の探索に専念させたいし、彼が迷い込みそうになったら止めてあげて。
I want to dedicate the mirror's function to search for intruders. So if it looks like he's going to be swallowed up by it, do stop him, will you? The bird shook his feathers at the strange instruction. Alice looked away from the mirror and continued her walk. The bird chirped in
あなたの仕
protest.
事よ、ロビン。それぐらいの役には立って。
It's your job, Robin. At least get that right, would you? Leaving the bird with the icy retort, she vanished into the west wing. All that remained was the moonlight, and the little blue bird trembling at the perilous prospect of unprecedented change. I'm just thinking of the 100-Wood Acre song. Frank, you! That was not a shorter chapter by any means. Still have yet to come across any actual choice whatsoever. Surely there's no... Even they make it into separate books. Oh my god. Put back. There's so much of the bookcase left. Oh my god. Are you for real? What's the next chapter? Okay. Sorry for the low energy and cookie attitude. I think just PT took a lot out of me. And on top of that, the chapter kind of just being an implication, like explicitly saying the implications. I don't know. Anyways. I'll be back sometime this week, either tomorrow or Thursday, and have like an arcade day, play a bunch of arcade games. Something less committal. Something a little less... Something a little more relaxing. Maybe try to stream a little bit earlier. Anyways, thank you for stopping by. If you stopped by, thank you for following. If you follow, whether it's on YouTube or Twitch, appreciate it. Me stumbling, trying to read like someone who potentially has vein damage. I don't know.